Alrighty, greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to our Saturday afternoon live stream for Week 5 of the 2024 fantasy football season. Over the course of the next 2 hours, I'll be answering any and all fantasy football related questions in regards to Week 5. So whether it's a trade question, a start or sit question, perhaps I need to hit the waiver wire because Trey McBride is questionable to play, or I'm not 100% certain whether or not, Evan Ingram, Anthony Richardson, etc., any of these other potential players that are in that questionable tag, whether or not they're going to play. Obviously, we've been given more and more information as of this morning regarding some of those players, but as we continue and progress throughout today's live stream, I'll be answering those questions. As all you have to do really is just type it in the live chat. If you want priority in order to get your questions answered quicker, the super chat is always available. But when you do send in a message, regardless of which form you do send it in, be sure to include your scoring format, whether it is a standard, half PPR, full PPR. The more context that you provide, the easier it'll be for me to answer that question and get everything set and ready to go. Now, if I'm not able to answer your question over the course of the next 2 hours, whether it's directly answering your question or via proxy of somebody else's question answering yours, hopefully that can be possible. Tomorrow morning, we'll be live streaming here on the channel as well, starting at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's right. Very, very early, primarily because there is a London game tomorrow starting at 6:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time between the New York Jets and the Minnesota Vikings. So you can go ahead, swing on by, get your questions answered in that regard. The first 30 minutes of tomorrow morning's live stream will have rankings that include players in that game. But as soon as that game kicks off, I'm going to remove those players from the overall list, then bring in the other rankings where they're no longer on it because it won't be necessary. But again, we should be good to go. Hopefully everybody in that game is fired up and ready to go. But obviously there's a lot of questionable tagged players. So let's get into answering questions. First and foremost, again, I appreciate y'all for coming through. If you haven't yet already, click the like button down below. And also, if you haven't yet already checked out the Hidden Gems video from yesterday, be sure to do so. Thank you. Okay, we're going to begin with the first question of the day that came in from Michael Barton. Michael, I did see the second half of your question. I already grabbed it and copy pasted it so that I can answer that second half as well. So Michael Barton's first question, first and foremost, was Darnold or Flacco? Okay, so as it currently stands, Anthony Richardson, based on the news report that I'm looking at as it stands, let me see, what is the credibility of this source? It says, Colts have downgraded Anthony Richardson to doubtful for Week 5 against the Jaguars. Now, this comes from NBC Sports. So, if he's doubtful, like we've talked about on multiple occasions already this season, any player that is given the doubtful designation really has an outside chance of playing. So I say he has maybe a 1% chance. And based on the report that we talked about yesterday in the Hidden Gems episode, in regards to the reporter for The Athletic saying that Joe Flacco was taking all of the first team snaps yesterday at practice, again, it's going to be Joe Flacco tomorrow morning. So the question is, would I prefer to play Sam Darnold or Flacco? I prefer to play Flacco because, again, I don't really want to mess with those London games. Now, you could, if you were just trying to avoid all risk, and you were thinking, okay, Andrew, I know he's doubtful, but what if there's a 1% chance that Anthony Richardson does play, and I'm ready to start up Flacco, and then Anthony Richardson comes back, and then I have no quarterback? Then at that point, you just play Sam Darnold in the morning. But I feel relatively confident in rolling Flacco against the Jaguars, one of the best matchups that he could possibly have. And again, like I mentioned on the quarterback rankings episode that came out on Thursday, Flacco in his last 6 games played, including earlier, this season, Week 4, he has had 2 touchdowns minimum in each of those games. And obviously the reason why we have Michael Pittman Jr. as today's thumbnail and Josh Downs as yesterday's hidden gem, it's because Joe Flacco is absolutely going to elevate their overall potential for success. Now, as for your next question, pick 3 between Downs, Wicks, Whittington, and Leggett. Out of those available options, Wicks is number 1. Josh Downs with Flacco would be number 2, and Xavier Leggett would be number 3. Whittington would be the 4th and the odd man out. Well, I guess it's not odd man out because he's number 4, but nonetheless, he'd be the person that I'm least excited about potentially starting. As for your next question, pick 4 between these following options. We have Deontay Johnson, Terry McLaurin, Garrett Wilson, Sermon, Coleman, Jennings, Tucker. Okay, so out of those options, Terry McLaurin, Deontay Johnson, Garrett Wilson are the 3 most valuable. And I'd say if it's I think I'd probably play Sermon after them. So those would be the 4 that I'd roll with. And then your final question, Michael Barton, again, thank you. Appreciate it. It says Eric All or Brenton Strange if McBride cannot play. I'm assuming that McBride will play. Again, the report that did come out said that he's questionable to play with the rib injury. I'd actually say that it's a positive thing that they said questionable rather than doubtful or unlikely to play, right? Like Evan Ingram's report earlier today came out and it said he is unlikely to play on Sunday. Right, that pretty much it's over. He's not playing. And then Anthony Richardson says doubtful, or Devin Singletary says doubtful. So in this circumstance, I would say that McBride probably plays, but if you're looking for a pivoting option, it would be Brenton Strange technically. Now, the Arizona Cardinals, let's see here. If I look at NFL Week 5 schedule, the Arizona Cardinals, I believe, play in the afternoon window. They do. So they play at 1:05 p.m. Due to that alone, you won't know whether or not McBride is going to technically 100% start until the afternoon. So you can technically hold out, and hear me out. This would be my suggestion. You would pivot Trey McBride with Juwan Johnson of the New Orleans Saints. That's the way that I would go about it. If I was in your position, I'd say forget Brenton Strange, forget Eric All. I'm either going to play McBride or I'm going to play Juwan Johnson. So if you have an opportunity of picking him up and putting him on roster, that's the way that I would go about it. Thank you, Michael Barton. I appreciate it. Okay, moving on to the next question on hand comes in from Doppio, who says, full PPR, Connor Myers for Tyreek Hill. Okay, I mean, again, let me look at the rest of your team. It says running backs are Kyron Williams, Jordan Mason, Montgomery, and Moss. My wide receivers are Amon-Ra, Deep. Yeah, I'm okay with that trade. I don't have an issue with it. Again, you're currently 1-3, which obviously doesn't help because, again, Tyreek Hill won't really have an immense volume of production until the return of, or the supposed or expected return of Tyreek Hill in this circumstance. So you're really going to have to just gamble it and wait for week 8. By the time we get to week 8, there's nothing that says you're not going to be 1-6. Because of this kind of a trade. But we can just hope. And we can hope that you can at least maybe break even. Maybe by the time you get to week 8, you're like 3-4, hopefully. Maybe 2-5. And at that point, just win streak out with Tyreek Hill putting up 20 points per game. I'm okay with the trade. I don't have an issue with it. I think you have enough depth to be able to survive in this circumstance. Thank you. Nathan Dennison sends in a question. Says, you think Mixon has a bigger injury than what is said? I don't know if it's a bigger injury. Okay, well, here's the thing, right? He got hip drop tackled, right? The last time we saw a pretty significant hip drop tackle, or the last 2 significant ones that we've seen televised on like a primetime game, was Mark Andrews last year, broke his fucking leg. I mean, just completely just shattered it. And then we also had Tony Pollard. If I'm not mistaken, this was in the 2022-2023 NFL playoffs against the San Francisco 49ers. In that game in which they lost, hip drop tackled, broke his leg. So there's a possibility that he sustained a really significant injury. I'm not saying he broke anything. I'm just saying, like, anytime you get hip drop tackled, there's a reason why they put a penalty on it, right? It's a 15-yard penalty now. So even though they don't enforce it or mandate it, and even though the play in which Mixon got this injury, there wasn't a penalty that flew because these refs are completely blind. But I wouldn't say that it's any worse than we potentially think. It's just, I think it's what it is. It's a hip drop tackle that it's like probably a high ankle sprain or something even worse, which is typically three weeks for a running back. Which again, I kind of think he's on pace. I mean, he practiced early or late last week, but at a limited capacity. So going into this week, the fact that he didn't practice at all doesn't give me much hope. But I'm still in the business of trying to trade for Mixon, especially if you've got a winning record as of right now. Okay, as for the next question, you said, and McBride owner, and I'm also a McBride owner. McBride comes out with a rib injury. I swear these injuries have been the worst this season. Yeah, the injuries, I'd have to go back into watching my old videos like last season in order to figure out whether or not it is worse than last season, but I think it is actually worse. I don't know if I remember this many significant injuries to significant players, but I think McBride will play. I think he's a tough son of a gun. He'll probably fire up. Ray C sends in a question, says Whittington or Ford in a full PPR? In a full PPR, I'm going to go with Jerome Ford there. Thank you. We move on to a question that comes in from GF, who says, must-win situation. Okay, very well. Pick 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex in a half PPR scoring format. These are the following options: Tyreek Hill, Chris Olave, Deontay Johnson, Stephon Diggs, Dontavion Wicks, Kyron Williams, James Cook, DeAndre Swift. Also Love or Fields. Okay, between Love and Fields, I'm going to go with Jordan Love. That is the preference. If you want to play Fields, again, I have them back-to-back ranked as my number. Well, on Thursday's quarterback and tight end video, they were ranked 4 and 5. I think it's probably the same as of right now. I don't think they're going to probably be 4 and 5 because I don't think I'd start any of those guys over Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, or Jaden Daniels this week. So they're going to be 4 and 5. Love would be the one that I prefer. As for the prior question, in terms of starting the rest of your lineup, Kyron Williams is RB1. James Cook is RB2. Wide receiver 1 is going to be Deontay Johnson. Wide receiver 2 is Diggs. And your flex is Wicks. So pretty much I'm leaving Tyreek Hill and Olave and Swift on the bench, which seems absolutely ludicrous, but I mean, what am I to do at this point? You've got so many damn good options. But those are the ones that I prefer as of right now. Thank you. Dylan Caddison sends in a question, says, pick 2 to start. We have Keon Coleman, we have Kareem Hunt, we have Tyrone Tracy, we have Tucker Kraft, and Isaiah Likely. Cool. So if I'm just starting 2 of these options as flex players going into the given week, I'm probably starting both the running backs. I think I'd feel most comfortable going with Kareem Hunt. Again, he is the pole position starter. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not going to play this week on Monday. Again, that's already been designated. Tyrone Tracy has himself a lot of receiving upside. I think Hunt and Tracy are probably the 2 best plays. If I was going to nominate a third best option, it would be Tucker Kraft, mainly because there are so many missing pieces of that Green Bay Packers offense with no Christian Watson, no Romeo Doubs, Luke Musgrave likely to miss. Again, he didn't practice at all this week. It pretty much just leaves it as Reed, Tucker Kraft, Wicks, and Jacobs. Bo Melton will get a couple opportunities here and there, but it won't be significant. Or at least we hope it won't be too significant. But that would be the third best option there. Thank you. R. Walt 24. Thank you very much. Says 2 wide receivers, 1 flex out of the following: Flowers, Downs, Wan'Dale Robinson, Hunt, Sermon in a full PPR. Cool. So of the available options you have at wide receiver, I'm going to play in a full PPR scoring format. Josh Downs and Wan'Dale Robinson. Full and away. Feel very comfortable doing so. I would actually flex Kareem Hunt out of these available options. R. Walt, thank you. Giants in Fantasy sends in a question. Says Antonio Gibson or Tyrone Tracy this week. So earlier today, this morning, I was kind of going over the running back rankings, trying to put it together in my mind. If you're playing in a full PPR, I feel really comfortable going with Tyrone Tracy in this situation. If you're playing in a half PPR, I could justify playing Antonio Gibson. Again, we're not 100% certain as to what the split is going to be between him and Ramondre. This is the first of its kind in terms of a running back being replaced midweek that I've seen in quite a while. It almost feels like the media forced Gerard Mayo to do it. I don't know. It just seems so weird. But either way, Gerard Mayo has done some interesting things this season, not playing his quarterback. But as of now, in a half PPR, I could justify playing Antonio Gibson, but I'd probably just stick with Tracy in both circumstances. Maybe in a standard league, I'd play Antonio. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Azathoth. Is that the name? Azathoth, I guess. Says PPR, Dak Prescott or Sam Darnold. Between the two of them, I'd rather play Sam Darnold. As for your follow-up question, flexing Worthy or Judy, I'd rather play Worthy. Thank you. Neil Patel sends in a question. Thank you, Neil. Neil says, start 2 in a full PPR. We have Tyreek Hill, we have Achane, we have Sermon, we have Wicks, we have Leggett. Okay, cool. Pretty good options across the board. The way that I would play it, if it was my team, would be Tyreek and Wicks. That's the way I go about it this week. As for your follow-up question, I know sitting Hill and Achane would be crazy, but look, if in this scenario, right, I'd feel because Mostert's coming back, there is less of a potential for upside technically for Achane. I would not feel comfortable sitting Tyreek here. So Tyreek and Wicks are the 2 that I'd roll with. Thank you. Jay Hawley 203 says, pick 2 in a PPR. We have Garrett Wilson, McLaurin, Ford, Downs, and Brian Robinson. Cool. I mean, look, you've got great options across the board. I think the best 2 options technically are Brian Robinson and McLaurin. If Brian Robinson, who I know was on the injury report, if I'm not mistaken, he's already been removed off said injury report. Let me just confirm this. Let me go to the Washington Commanders official website. So they don't have their injury report posted. Let me see. Which is very interesting. I don't know why they wouldn't already have it posted. Let's see any of these new articles. Let's see. In terms of their injury report, Noah Brown is out. Is there anything? Cleveland Farrell's out. Okay. Okay, here we go. Brian Robinson Jr. questionable. Okay, so if, let's say, for example, Brian Robinson Jr. is not, actually, you're not even in a position to do that. Okay, so this is the way I go about it, right? I'd probably go like McLaurin and Brian Robinson there, Jay Hawley. Because Garrett Wilson plays so early, you could... Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to play either... Well, actually, when does Washington play? Are they in the afternoon slate? No, they're in the morning, right? Yeah, they're in the morning. Okay, so this is what I do. If Brian Robinson doesn't go, you just play Terry McLaurin and you play Josh Downs. That's the way that I'd probably go about it. Thank you. EM Kicks sends in a question. It says PPR, 2 running backs and 1 flex. We have ETN, we have Eckler, we have Sermon, and we have Worthy. Cool. So in a full PPR scoring format, the way that I would go about it would be playing ETN, Eckler, and Worthy. Playing Sermon wouldn't be as much of a priority in my mind, especially considering Sermon is very much so just a running back. He's only going to run the ball. Very seldom is he going to get himself a high utilization of receiving upside. I think Tyler Goodson's going to be able to dig into that workload, like we heard yesterday from Shane Steichen, the head coach and the primary play caller of the Indianapolis Colts. This is going to be a running back by committee situation. Sermon will be implemented for a lot of rushing attempts, but in terms of the receiving upside, Sermon's very much so dependent on a touchdown, while these other backs and this receiver that you have, I think, have a higher base floor of production, considering they don't require to have a touchdown within their overall workload in order to be fantasy relevant. So yeah, I'll take Etienne, Eckler, and Worthy there. Thank you. Brandon sends in a question. Says Flacco, Deshaun Watson, or Geno? I need to close. I need something close to 20 points per PPR. Between the three of them, I'd play Flacco. That's who I'd feel most comfortable with. Deshaun Watson is yet to throw for over 200 yards this season. Geno Smith, I don't think requires to throw for 3 touchdowns this week, especially when you play against the Giants, who really don't have 2 of their best offensive pieces available to them because of the injuries. I think Flacco is just the best overall play within the bunch. Yeah, that's the direction I'd go in. If it's my team, I'm going to play Flacco there. Thank you for the question. Appreciate it. Okay, moving on. We had a question that came in from... Where did the question go? There it is. We have Terry R. Terry, thank you. Says, best ad full PPR. Roshan, Spears, or Tucker? Spears. Thank you. Now, obviously, you can't play Spears this week, but if you need a pick up and play, it would be Tucker. Thank you. Juan Torres sends in a question. Says, pick 3. We have Garrett Wilson, DJ Moore, T. Higgins, and Dontavion Wicks. Thank you. Okay. Between those available options, it'll be Garrett Wilson, DJ Moore, and Dontavion Wicks would be my starters. Thank you. Adam Amar sends in a question. Adam, you know what I noticed? At the end of yesterday's stream, you had sent a message in. I don't know if I didn't get to it. By the time I had walked away from my computer and came back, I was like, oh, shoot, he sent in a question. So we'll answer that later on in the stream. 3-1 says, I have JJ, Ayuk, Pickens, Myers, Mooney, and Mason. Kyron, Brian Robinson, and Eckler. Okay, very well. Do you think Mason and Ayuk for Nico Collins and Algier? Nah, I'm cool. Keep what you have. That's not worth it. Also, what about Kyron, Ayuk for Nico and Christian McCaffrey? Nope, I keep what you have. I think you're just better off keeping. Like, the idea of trading for Christian McCaffrey is appealing, but I think it just weakens your team so much. I mean, like, if you're trading for Christian McCaffrey, yeah, I think it just makes your team weak. Like, in the long run, I think it's smart to get the insurance of Christian McCaffrey on your team, but you're going to take a pretty fat hit of overall points, I think at least. Again, like I've mentioned the last couple of days, I'm getting closer and closer to just keeping Mason and not having to move in terms of trades. Because, again, every time we hear news about Christian McCaffrey, nothing's positive. It always keeps getting worse. Trevor Augustus sends in a question. Says, get Tank Dell and drop Rice, Pacheco, Leggett, or Rome. Damn. Somebody asked me this question earlier today on Patreon. It could have been you, Trevor, for all I know. But I think I just hold on to what... if I'm going to drop one of them, it's Leggett, right? As of right now, that's who I would drop. But that's only because I don't know the actual indication of what the injury for Rice is. Because, again, if it's not ACL related, it's a PCL, and he's only going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks, he could theoretically return for the fantasy playoffs. Same thing with Pacheco. He is technically in a position to return for the fantasy playoffs. And Rome Odunze, I think, is eventually going to begin to take over. Just give it some time. So Leggett technically would be the drop. But honestly, I mean, do I feel that much more comfortable with Dell over Leggett rest of the season? Not technically, no. So I don't feel like you have to make this move. But if you feel pretty good about Dell, then sure, you would drop Leggett. Thank you. Like the Jeans sends in a question, says, PPR, I have McBride and Kyler, Jacobs and Wicks. Should I drop Michael Wilson or Yoshivas for a backup tight end? Yes, you should. Out of the available options that you do have, I would say that the least valuable between the bunch would be most likely Michael Wilson. So at this point, I'd probably drop him in order to pick up Tucker Kraft and just roll with him in case of a situation in which McBride is not available. Now, the thing is, Tucker Kraft plays tomorrow afternoon, so you're good. So you'll know by the time that we get to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow, right before the kickoff between the San Francisco 49ers and Cardinals, you'll get an indication as to whether or not Trey McBride is going to play. If he does play, obviously you fire him up, you're good to go. If he doesn't, you pivot to playing Tucker Kraft, who plays 20 minutes after. Thank you for the question. But yeah, that's the move. JP sends in a question, says, Kjork, how do you like the happy birthday monsoon? Yeah. Thanks, man. It's not my birthday, but somehow, some way, it has become my birthday. For like every day for the last week, it has been my birthday, and I mean, I'll take it. I don't mind. It is what it is. It's hilarious though. I find it hilarious. I really do. Thank you, JB. It's funny because like, not only is it in the comment section, but then it spills into the live stream. And then after it spills into the live stream, then it starts spilling into the Discord. And then it starts spilling into the Patreon. And then there's all of a sudden people texting me saying happy birthday. And I'm like, yo, it's not even my fucking birthday. How do we not know this, people? It's just a disaster. Anyway, AJ sends in a question. Says full PPR. Start to Ramondre, Madison, Leggett, JSN, Trey Sermon. Okay. Of the available you have, in a full PPR, I probably feel most comfortable rolling with both the receivers, like Leggett and JSN would be the place. Yeah, that's probably the direction that I'd go in. I don't really want to mess. I mean, look, these other running backs have opportunity, but as to the volume of it, it's very much so circumstantial. Like Madison should have the full backfield, but can they run the ball effectively against Denver? Because Denver played incredibly well last week, and I feel like that Denver defense over the course of this entire season has been playing incredibly well. So really, I'd probably just not trust Madison. Like if he was going to get guaranteed 5 receptions, sure, but I can't really put a guarantee stamp on that. So I'm probably just going to lean towards both those wide receivers. As for your follow-up question, AJ, he says, I have Michael Pittman Jr. starting. Cool. Not a fan of starting 2 Colts. Yeah, you shouldn't. That's fine. Again, Michael Pittman Jr. should be incredible this week. We're going to put together a couple pick'em slims, but he's going to be implicated for a couple of them. Again, Michael Pittman last year against the Jaguars, over 100 receiving yards in both games. And now that he has Flacco as his quarterback, again, like we mentioned, in the, 3.5 quarters that he played with Michael Pittman Jr., again, Michael Pittman was putting in some work. He was getting himself a pretty good share of opportunity, which obviously hasn't existed thus far this season prior. Jason sends in a question. Says, in a half PPR flex, do I play McLaurin or Wicks? As of right now, I do have Wicks higher than McLaurin, primarily because, again, of all the absences within that Green Bay Packers lineup and the matchup taking on the defense of the Los Angeles Rams. If it wasn't for the fact that like Kobe Durant, Tre'Davious White, the primary 2 cornerbacks of the Rams, if it wasn't for the fact that both of them have played terribly thus far this season, they've already had, John Johnson, their safety, out on the IR. Like if it wasn't for the fact that their defense was in shambles, I'd be like, yeah, McLaurin's on the hot hand. We're going to roll with him. But considering there have been 3 different wide receivers this season already that played on the outside, Jamison Williams, Marvin Harrison, and Juwan Jennings, all 3 of them dominating in terms of overall production against this defense. If it wasn't for that, I mean, I'd probably tell you McLaurin, but as of right now, I think it's just far too advantageous not to play Wicks. Rogo sends in a question, says, hope all is well, bro. I'm scared my opponent has Justin Fields, Wan'Dale Robinson, Josh Downs, Kyron Williams, Dowdle, Bowers, Amari Cooper, Koo. Okay, yeah, you're already in trouble. Minnesota defense. What's my upside outcome? My team is in the chat. Okay, let me see if I can go find your team, Rogo. If I'm not able to, then we'll see what happens. But let's see here. Rogo, there is... Okay, yeah. By the time you had sent that message in, your team is no longer there. So do me a favor, just copy paste it in the live chat and I'll get to it. Thanks, man. All right, moving on until we get back to Rogo's question. Looking at his team, Rogo, though, I think his biggest weakness is Dowdle. Outside of that, he's got a pretty good team for a full PPR this week. GK sends in a question, says, in a full PPR, would you trade Garrett Wilson and BTJ for AJ Brown? I think it's very much so, like in a bubble, I'd say no. In a circumstance in which you're playing in a 8-team league and your wide receivers are Amon-Ra, AJ Brown, and Neighbors, I'd say, okay, sure. But yeah, I think it's very much so dependent on the context of what the rest of your team looks like, GK. Because as it currently stands, if Garrett and BTJ are weekly starters for you, I'd say you'd be maybe giving up a little too much just for AJ Brown. Simplistic Grace sends in a question, says, rank wide receiver rest of season. Sutton, Juwan Jennings, Keon Coleman, and Rashid Shaheed. Cool. So of these available, okay, where the team's currently constructed as is, under the assumption that there's no Devontae Adams going to the Saints, okay? The way that I would rank them rest of season goes as follows. Rashid Shaheed, number 1. Cortland Sutton, number 2. Keon Coleman, number 3. Juwan Jennings, number 4. Thank you, Simplistic. All right. Good guy sends in a question. Says, in a full PPR, pick 2. Brian Thomas Jr., Wan'Dale Robinson, Josh Downs, and Xavier Leggett. Cool. So of those available options, the ones that I'd feel most comfortable rolling with in a full PPR this week would be Brian Thomas Jr. and Wan'Dale Robinson. It leaves Leggett and Downs as the odd man out, even though they're both coming off of incredible weeks. But ultimately, Wan'Dale Robinson, without Singletary, without Neighbors, should see himself double-digit targets, if not receptions. In a full PPR, it's kind of very difficult to pass up on. And Brian Thomas taking on the Indianapolis Colts secondary. Again, everyone has dominated against them. BTJ is the next man up. JA sends in a question, says Moss/Tracy as my RB2. Okay, so I went ahead and I went over my running back rankings earlier this morning. I have Zach Moss just barely slightly ahead of Tyrone Tracy there. In terms of my projection model, he is just slightly ahead of him by like 0.3 points, to the extent to where I'm like, all right, I feel comfortable going with Moss there. But if you want to play Tracy, you can. It's just a matter of obviously who's going to get themselves the potential for a touchdown. I think if I'm comparing both teams, Moss is probably more likely to do so in comparison to Tracy, considering that offense for the Giants may not be in the best overall position to score on Sunday. But as for your follow-up question there, Wilson/Sutton as my wide receiver too. Under the assumption that Wilson is Garrett Wilson, yeah, I'd probably lean in the direction of playing Garrett there. Thank you. Beware Dream sends in a question, says start 2 in a full PPR. We have Flowers, Leggett, Addison, and Jennings. Out of those available, I'm probably going to play... Do I want to play Flowers this week? I don't want to play Flowers, to be honest. So I'm probably going to play Leggett and Addison, to be honest. Thank you. Gareth Taylor says, hi, Andrew. In a standard scoring format, flex and wide receiver 2 spots available. Do I play Sermon, Pickens, Christian Kirk, Dell, Watt? Okay. All right, so the way that you've like kind of constructed this sentence, Gareth, where you put Sermon, Pickens, and then ... ellipses, Christian Kirk, Dell, Waddle, or Shaheed, I'm going to assume that you're kind of leaning towards the direction of playing Sermon and Pickens. That's what I'm going to assume. If I was in your position, I'd probably play Shaheed and Pickens in a standard scoring format where you get 0 points per reception, because I do think that Shaheed and Pickens are more inclined to get the yardage and touchdown upside out of the bunch of receivers that you have available here. Thank you. Rocco sends in a question, says standard, pick 2. Ford, JSN, Wicks, Chase, Bigsby. Okay. Chase is Chase Brown, I'm assuming, of course. Yeah, it says Chase B. Okay, cool. So of the available in a standard scoring format, I'm still going to play Ford and I'm going to play Wicks there. Thank you. All right, let's move back really quickly. I want to go see if I can find Rogo's full contextualized team. All right, so Rogo's question. Okay, his team is Baker. Okay, very well. So you started off strong here. We have Debo, we have Diggs, we have Mason, we have Swift, we have Kincaid, Higgins, Moody, Denver's defense. We got CJ, we have Wicks on the bench, huh? We have Wicks on the bench. I'm playing Wicks ahead of Higgins. That's the way I'd go about it there. Jennings, Hunt. Okay, yeah, everything else looks fine. You play Wicks over Higgins, and that's pretty much the only change that I would theoretically make. And again, we'll leave it up to the fantasy gods going forward after that, Rogo. All right, moving on. We had a question that comes in from, scroll back up here just ever so slightly. Okay, after Rocco, we had John Yeps or Yepez? I don't know. John, thank you. Full PPR, Superflex, pick 2. Higgins, Pickens, or Flacco. Oh yeah, Flacco plays absolutely. Beside Flacco, I play Higgins. So those are the 2 that I go with. Absolutely, without a doubt, I'm playing Flacco there. In terms of like the projection, Flacco has got to at least in a 4-point per passing touchdown league, under the assumption that we're going to get like 220 passing yards, 2 touchdowns minimum. Okay, and that's minimum. 220 divided by 25, we got 8.8 plus 8. I mean, at a base minimum, let's say he turns over the ball once, you're getting like 14.8, maybe 15 points. At best case scenario, he throws a third touchdown in this kind of sequence, and he gets you like 18, 19, 20 points for fantasy purposes with no turnovers. I mean, again, I think he just has the safest floor and highest upside of the bunch, to be honest. So even in a full PPR, yeah, I'll play Flacco and Higgins there, John. Thank you. Tic Tac YouTube sends in a question. It says in a full PPR, flex Andy Dalton or Jacoby Myers or Zach Moss. Yeah, we're going to play Andy Dalton there. When in doubt, in a super flex format, let's go with the quarterback. Now, if you told me you had Huntley, Jacoby Brissett, or Gardner Minshew, I'd say, yeah, let's just play the receiver or let's play the running back. But considering you do have Andy Dalton in this circumstance, Matthew Stafford and the leftovers last week, when I say the leftovers, I mean literally, Whittington, Atwell, DeMarcus Robinson, the leftovers, they posted pretty good numbers in terms of moving the ball. They were in that game for majority of the contest until, of course, Stafford sealed their fate with an interception late in that game. But they looked pretty decent as an offense. So I think Andy Dalton and the Carolina Panthers, quite frankly, are a better constructed team at the moment, or at least in a better position than the Rams were last week to be able to score consistently against that Chicago Bears defense. So I'd go with Dalton there. Okay, let's see here. Young sends in a question. Young says in a 12-team full PPR, start 2, Kareem Hunt, Josh Downs, or Trey Sermon. Yeah, as of right now, if it was my team, I'm playing Kareem Hunt and Josh Downs tomorrow. Well, obviously Kareem Hunt's on Monday, but Josh Downs and Kareem Hunt. Thank you. Joe Lozano sends in a question, says Josh Downs, Tank Dell, or Ramondre Stevenson full PPR flex 1. Yeah, it's going to be Josh Downs. Thank you. Moving on to a question that comes in from Steven Drakes. Thank you, Steven. Steven says, hey, Andrew. I still have McBride in my IR spot. If he plays, I need to drop someone in a half PPR scoring format. Who would you drop between Ford, Hunt, Dowdle, and Jennings? Out of those available options, I'm dropping Jennings. So you would drop Jennings, move him out of the IR, then eventually just, plug him into the lineup. That's the way I go about it, Steven. Thank you. Let's see here. Lilish4 sends in a question. Says in a half PPR. Thank you, Lilish. By the way, I haven't seen your name in a while, but hey, welcome back. Hope you're doing well. Half PPR, start 3, and why? We have Hunt, Worthy, Flowers, Higgins, and Shaheed. Thanks, Andrew, and go Steelers. Okay, Steelers, they should be able to win. If they're not able to beat the Cowboys, then, I don't know anymore. Let's see here. Of the available options you have in a half PPR, Kareem Hunt has to play. Again, he has the full backfield to himself. And obviously, the Chiefs are going to have to run the ball far more than they typically do in order to have to compensate for the fact that they don't really have too many receiving options outside of Kelsey Worthy and the sprinkles of, Juju Smith or Justin Watson that they'll get out of this week. So Hunt's going to be definitely implicated for a pretty big week here. As for your alternative options, I'd probably play Higgins and Shaheed. Again, Shaheed, I've gone back and I've watched Shaheed maybe more than any player at an individual basis, mainly because Shaheed, I just needed to prove to myself that I wasn't seeing the wrong thing. He's actually a damn good receiver. Like, there are some sequences where it's like, that doesn't look great. But ultimately, he's getting better and he's getting a lot of opportunity. And honestly, he's dropped a touchdown in each of the last 2 games. So he could have been even better for fantasy purposes in the last 2 weeks. So Shaheed's definitely a play, Hunt's a play. And in between Worthy, Flowers, Higgins, Flowers you cannot trust every week, especially in matchups where they're going to have a commanding lead. Worthy, one play can make his week, but honestly, I'll just lean towards Higgins in the negative game script there, coming off of a week in which he was the target leader of that Cincinnati Bengals offense. So Hunt, Higgins, Shaheed. Tariq sends in a question. Tariq Santana says, in a full PPR, trade Pollard and Jordan Love for Jacobs. I don't know if I'm feeling that confident. Pollard's looked really good this year. Like, for fantasy purposes, the guy in a full PPR has put up 18 or 16 points in like 3 of the 4 games. So, I don't think you need to make that kind of a trade to where you're giving up that much and only just getting back Jacobs. It's not to say that Jacobs isn't more valuable. He certainly is, but I think you may be giving up a little bit too much. Let me see the context of your team. I have Jaden Daniels as my quarterback. My running backs are Achane, Swift, Sermon, Montgomery, and Pollard. Okay, so look, you've got enough running backs to be able to survive. I guess you technically can make this trade. I don't love it because I think in this circumstance, you maybe... I do prefer Jacobs over Pollard. Giving Love makes it a little bit sketchy because I think at that point it tips in the other team's favor, but I'm okay with it. Again, looking at the context of your team, having Jacobs, Montgomery, and Achane for once, of course, we have a relevant Achane in week 8 and beyond, you'll be set. Thank you. YG sends in a question. Says Dowdle or Sermon in a full PPR. I'd play Sermon there. Thank you. Nathan Salazar sends in a question. Says Swift or Achane, Tyreek Hill or Worthy, full PPR. Cool. So Swift or Achane, I'm playing Swift. Tyreek Hill or Worthy, I'm probably playing Worthy this week, to be honest. Terry R sends in a question. Says Wicks, Pittman, Kirk, full PPR. I'm leaning towards Wicks. Out of the group, I'm playing Michael Pittman. But the way that I currently have it ordered would be Michael Pittman 1, Wicks 2, and Kirk 3. Thank you. DR says Keon Coleman or Tank Dell this week. Neither. Really, it is a toss-up as to which of those two produce in any sort of capacity. If I feel more comfortable about one over the other, I'd probably say I'd feel a little bit more comfortable starting Keon Coleman. But then again, he can disappear in any given week. The fact of the matter is Tank Dell has disappeared this whole season. So we would hope that his return could kind of maybe give him some sort of semblance of upside. Maybe they're like, all right, we got to get him implemented. We got to get some opportunities in his direction. But I think this is going to be a Stephon Diggs kind of game. And then obviously, besides the Stephon Diggs influence, Nico Collins is just hauling in everything on the other side of the field. So I think I just played Keon, to be honest. Marion Garcia sends in a question. Nothing attached to it. Let me see if I can find it in the live chat. Let's see here. Garcia. Nothing yet. So let me see if I can update this live chat to see if there's anything available in the live chat. No, I don't see anything from Marion Garcia. If you do me a favor, and why does it keep ripping back? Yeah, it's probably on the top side. If you could do me a favor and just copy paste your message into the chat, the live chat, that'd be appreciated. Thank you, Marion. All right, moving on. So we can keep up with the questions. We move on to Eddie J's question. And says, in a 12-man standard scoring format, start Tracy, Akers, or Gibson. Between the three of them in a standard scoring league where you get 0 points per reception, I'm playing Gibson. Now, as for the next question, might need 2 if Brian Robinson is out. Also, trade JT and Pittman for Ford, Mason, and Christian McCaffrey. Sorry, not Ford. JT and Pittman for Mason and Christian McCaffrey. Probably not. Like, if you have... Yeah, probably not. Oh, man. I think I just keep what you have. And then if you need a secondary option to Brian Robinson, assuming he misses, it would be Tracy. So it'd be Tracy and Gibson. Thank you. Neil Patel says, start Hunt, Dowdle, or Sermon over HN then. Hunt, Dowdle, Sermon. Yeah, if I'm going to pick it this week, I'll play Hunt and Sermon over HN. Dowdle, no thank you. Adam Amar sends in a question. Says, what about Brian Robinson and Eckler for Christian McCaffrey and Mason? Yeah, that's fine. I have Mason. That's fine. If you give away Brian Robinson for Christian McCaffrey and you have Mason, that's fine. But I mean, giving Eckler as well, maybe a little bit too much. But hey, just to ensure it in comparison to the prior trade that you had specifically suggested, I think this is better off to kind of give yourself a little bit more insurance. Jimmy Stacks sends in a question. Says full PPR start 2. Cooper, Worthy, Dell, and Wicks. Yeah, Cooper and Wicks are going to be my suggestions there, Jimmy. Thank you. Mikey sends in a question. Says in a non-PPR, start 2 between BTJ, Murray, and Hunt. Not Murray. McLaurin and Hunt. BTJ, Terry McLaurin, and Kareem Hunt in a non-PPR format. I think it's probably BTJ and Kareem Hunt just to be safe. I think that's probably the play. Thank you. Bruce Cowdery sends in a question. Says, any word on starting quarterback for Indy? Yeah, as it currently stands, based on what I've seen from all the sports books, they're anticipating that Joe Flacco is the starter. Like all the props that I'm seeing from all the sports books are implying that it's going to be Joe Flacco because all the props for Richardson have been removed and Flacco's up there on the board. So considering Anthony Richardson didn't get any of the first team reps yesterday and additionally is listed as doubtful, it's going to be Flacco. Thank you. Nick Walker sends in a question. Says, start Shaheed, Leggett, or Curtis Samuel this week. I'll take Shaheed. Thank you. Chris Rosado says, would you trade Christian McCaffrey? If yes, who would you trade for? Running backs are Rashad White, Brian Robinson, David Montgomery, Ford, Swift. This is the thing. You would only trade Christian McCaffrey if you got like ample compensation. Like when I say, okay, like here's the thing. You don't have Mason, it seems like, right? So unless I'm trading for a running back that is actually going to be a starter for me for the remainder of the season, so to give you a name, let's see here. Who can I theoretically give away to just get McCaffrey and I'll be okay with it and I can survive? There's no way that someone's giving you like Josh Jacobs. I don't think anybody would even give you ETN. But I try. Probably could try going down the road of a Tony Pollard per se. But that's only because you don't have Mason. And then at that point, you're kind of just... Yeah, because you don't have Mason, you are subject to pretty much being at the mercy of other people. So if I'm you, I go to the Mason manager and I say, you want Brian Robinson? And you just try to make that trade first and foremost. Otherwise, you just go knocking on all these doors of running backs who have underperformed thus far and try to see if you can swindle your way into a deal. Michael Barton sends in a follow-up. Says, Wicks or Terry in a PPR? I have Wicks higher. Hold Clyde? You can hold him if you want. I mean, look, he's going to sit on your IR probably, right? Because he's considered out. So you can just leave him there unless you don't have an available spot. Then at that point, you can drop him. I'm sitting Breece Hall and playing Hunt, Ford, Najee. My wide receivers are Chase, BTJ, and Harrison. Fields is my quarterback. All right, good luck. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know if I can. I wouldn't do it myself in a PPR, but hey, more power to you, Michael. All right, let's see here. Ishmael Delgado sends in a question. Says, in a 10-man full PPR, I have Aaron Jones starting. Perfect. Trade Zay Flowers for Zach Moss. Also pick up Tracy with Saquon on bye. Who should I start with Jones? As of right now, I have Zach Moss ahead of Tyrone Tracy for this week. Thank you. Alejandro sends in a question. Says, I had Jordan Mason, traded him for Cooper Kupp. What do you think? That's fine. Again, if you don't have Christian McCaffrey, it's fine. It works. But again, we don't know the status of McCaffrey. We won't know until quite some time, probably in the beginning of November. So give it 4 weeks and we'll kind of know whether or not this deal ends up panning out in your direction. Ibrahim sends in a question. Says, in a 12-team full PPR 2-flex league, we have Kyler, JT, Swift, White, AJB, Kupp, Garrett Wilson, Addison, Bowers. Should I trade Garrett Wilson and White for Devontae? Yeah, I'm okay with that. I don't have an issue with that at all. I think you have enough depth to be able to survive that. That's cool. All right, let's go back into the live chat. Let me see if I can find Marion Garcia in the live chat, perhaps. Marion Garcia says, in a full PPR, should I trade Zay Flowers for Debo straight up? Yes, right now, immediately. No questions asked. Or Flowers for Deontay Johnson and Keenan Allen? No, I'll take Debo. Happily. No questions asked. Firm handshake. Thank you very much. Kiss on the forehead. Thank you. You'll enjoy Zay Flowers. And then you just take Debo and you run. Okay, cool. Thank you. Alrighty, moving on to the next question that was sent in. We have a question that comes in from, we have George C., who says, half PPR, trade Kyler, Adams, Chase Brown for Love and Kenneth Walker. Yep, that works. I'm okay with that. If you need the running back depth, I prefer Love over Kyler rest of the season, and I think Kenneth Walker is great, solid upside in comparison to Adams, regardless of where Adams goes. Abe sends in a question, says, full PPR, pick 2. Sermon, Gibson, Addison. Okay, cool. In a full PPR format, I'm probably going to go with the idea of playing Addison alongside of Gibson there. Thank you. It's Kafka, says, McBride and Jacobs for Laporta and Mason. Nope, I'd keep the McBride and Jacobs side of that deal. Thank you. Barlos M sends in a question, says, what are the chances that Brian Robinson and McBride don't play? I mean, again, they have the questionable tag, so I think it's kind of they're going to warm up 2 or 3 hours before the game, and at that point, it'll be determined. Again, McBride dealing with a rib injury is a matter of pain tolerance, right? As for Brian Robinson, if I'm not mistaken, it's ankle. It could also be a pain tolerance thing. Both these guys are just going to be shot up with Toradol, and they're going to go out there and they're going to play. That's my assumption, okay? They would be given a doubtful designation, or they wouldn't have practiced. Now, obviously, this late addition to McBride is a little bit scary because anytime there's a late addition to the overall injury report, it's not great. But I mean, last week we had Chris Olave jumped onto the injury report with the hamstring, still played incredibly well. So I'm not too worried about these guys. But let's say they do miss. In your overall situation, do you pick up McNichols, lost Gibbs on this bye week? I only have Braylon Allen and Ty Chandler. Yeah, you'd pick up McNichols and you'd play him. That's fine. Mo Money sends in a question, says, should I keep Dowdle or Chase Brown? I'd rather keep Chase Brown rest of the season. Thank you. Flipside Fishing sends in a question, says, 10-team full PPR. I have the number 1 waiver spot and someone dropped Breece Hall. Okay. All right. My running backs are Henry, Ford, and Chubb. Should I use the number 1 waiver spot for Hall? Yes. Yes. That's it. Answer is yes. Who do you drop? Don't care. Drop anybody. Doesn't matter. Pick up Breece Hall. Thank you very much. Keep it moving. Alfredo sends in a question. Says, sit Ayuk and start Downs. Yes. GT sends in a question. Says, full PPR 12-team league. Start 2 out of the available options. Ramondre, Chase Brown, Dowdle, and Charbonnet. Not starting Charbonnet. Not starting Dowdle. Do I start Dowdle over Chase Brown? Probably. I'd probably go Dowdle and Ramondre. That's the way that I'd go in this week. Seta sends in a question. Says, Akers or Tyrone Tracy or Chase Brown this week? I'd play Tyrone Tracy out of the 3. Thank you. Real Franklin sends in a question. Real, you changed your picture back, huh? Unless this is a different Real Franklin. You got multiple accounts. Franklin, do me a favor. Type your message in the chat because it's not in there. And it wasn't attached to your current super. Thank you. CK Dine sends in a question. Says, bench 1, BTJ, Brian Robinson, DJ Moore, Garrett Wilson. If it was me and I had to legitimately bench one of the options here, I'd probably bench DJ Moore out of the group, even though I don't like it because he has a pretty good revenge game. Yeah, that's the way I'd go about it. But here's the thing. Brian Robinson might not play, so you might just be in a position where you just have to play DJ Moore. Let me actually check the window here. So the Bears play in the morning. The Commanders play in the morning. Okay, yeah, so you'll know by the morning slate. You'll be fine. So Garrett Wilson has to play. BTJ has to play. Then it's just going to be the matchup between Brian Robinson and DJ Moore, depending on, of course, if Brian Robinson's active. Zervive says, non-PPR start Shaheed, Hunt, or McLaurin. I want to play Shaheed. I think the best play overall is probably Hunt, though. Craig Morrison says, Sermon, Mondre, Chase Brown, Eckler, full PPR, pick one. If it's my team and I'm playing one, I'm playing Eckler. Thank you. Okay, Villarreal sends in a super chat. Nothing attached to it, per se. Let's see here. Villarreal, do me a favor and type in the live chat what your message was because it wasn't attached to your super. Also, let me go back to Franklin. Anything, Franklin? Franklin says the following. I have Darius Slayton, Mike Williams, and Curtis Samuel on the waivers. Should I bench Flowers to start and pick up? Nah, I don't think so. I wouldn't. Personally, I wouldn't. I can justify rolling with Curtis Samuel in this circumstance, but I think I'm just going to roll with Flowers there. If you want to take the risk, you can. I just, personally, I wouldn't suggest it. All right. Where's Villarreal? Villarreal. Okay, we'll wait for that question to come in. Until then, we'll continue on. Again, for those of you who are joining us this afternoon, thank you. Welcome. Again, we've been here for about 50 minutes so far. Again, we'll be here until 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so another hour and 15 answering questions. I do appreciate y'all coming through. Again, if you haven't yet already, do me a favor, click the like button down below. It is greatly appreciated in terms of supporting the channel. You may think one singular like will do nothing in the grand scheme. I can assure you, based on what I know about YouTube, one like is all it fucking takes. Really, it's legitimately, it's that valuable. So if you enjoyed today's content and all the content I provide over the course of the week, the daily live streams, the videos, do me a favor, click the like button. Thank you. Craig Morrison sends in a question. So we took care of that one. We took care of Villarreal. We'll come back to that once they type in the chat. Auntie Slayer says, do I start Kraft at tight end and flex Bowers as a starting flex? Or do I go with Tolbert, Michael Wilson, Bourne, Polk? Nope. You're going to start both of those tight ends. That's my suggestion. I'd start Kraft and I'd start Bowers. Thank you. AM427 says in a PPR, Geno, Achane Ford, J. Reed, Ertz, Moore, playing without a defense. Anyone to drop or start? We have Dowdle, we have Moss, we have Downs, we have Shaheed, we have Hurts. We have Hunt, we have Monty, we have Rashi, we have Pacheco. Okay, the way that I see it as it currently stands, Wicks is on your bench. Or no, that's Downs on your bench. I'd play Downs over Moore. That's what I would do. Outside of that, I'd also be willing to... You know what, actually? I would say you drop Downs the very last second before... Okay, so this is my suggestion. Depending on how your league works, okay? And I'm going to assume your league is actually functioning. I would drop Downs at 9:59 tomorrow morning, PM, PST. Right before the game kicks off, I'd drop him, and I'd go pick up a defense and start one. Because ultimately, in the long run, Flacco will not be the starter for this team. And once Anthony Richardson comes back, Downs' value is pretty much not going to be able to be sustained in comparison to the alternative options you have on this roster. So if I was you, I'd drop him final second, right before the game kicks off, pick up a defense and start that defense. Thank you. Gareth Taylor says, thanks, AK, you're the king. Someone dropped Amari Cooper and Sam Laporta. Shall I pick a... Oh my God. Guys... If I was the commissioner of that league, okay, and someone dropped Sam Laporta, I would, as the commissioner, go into commissioner settings, I'd pick the player back up and put it back on their roster. Then I'd shoot them a text and say, don't be a fucking idiot. Keep Laporta. Wink. And then I keep him moving. But, hey, if they want to keep making mistakes and you're not the commissioner and you're not going to be able to fix their wrongs, even to help them out, yes, you drop everything you can. Amari Cooper and Laporta, I mean, again, of the availables that you have, like, Tank Dell's got to be dropped for Laporta. You have Tucker Kraft as your current tight end. Like, you got to make a swap here. Like, you're picking up Laporta for the future. As for Waddle and Kirk, I mean, technically, I'd probably just I would want to technically have Amari Cooper rather than Kirk rest of the season. If you're going to use Kirk this week, then you just hold it. But if you're not, then Kirk for Cooper, Dell for Laporta. Thank you. And if you're not starting Kraft, obviously Kraft goes and Dell goes. Thank you. Stan219 says Zay Flowers, Keon Coleman, or Xavier Worthy in a PPR flex. I have Worthy ranked the highest, and then it's Flowers second, Keon Coleman third. Second team, Keon Coleman, Leggett, or Waddle in a PPR. I'd go with Leggett in that circumstance. Thank you. Wild Lead sends in a question. Says, trade Garrett Wilson for ETN. I'm deep at wide receiver. Yeah, I'm cool with that. Thank you. Moving on to a question that comes in from G Racy Runs. Or G Racer. Let's just say G Racer. I don't know. Either way. Full PPR. Pick 2. Flex. Ayuk. No, that's not Ayuk. Sorry. That's Achane, Wicks, and Zach Moss. I'd go with Wicks and Zach Moss this week. Thank you. Dark Blood says, McNichols or Eckler? Eckler. Thank you. Mike Gutierrez says, PPR, who to flex? Hill, ETN, or Hunt? I'll take ETN there. Thank you. All right. Did Villarreal type something in the live chat maybe? Let's see here. All right. Villarreal says, or Villarreal, sorry. Full PPR start 2. Sermon, Hunt, Stevenson, if he is the number 2 this week. Got it. Yeah. So in a full PPR scoring format, Hunt has to play out of these 3. Then it's between Stevenson and Sermon. I don't know what the split is going to look like for Ramondre, so I think you're better off just playing Sermon there. I want to play Ramondre, but again, I think it's just... I'd only ever play Ramondre if you were in a position to where you immediately had Antonio Gibson and Ramondre both on your team, and you're like, I'm trying to ensure that I can account for all of the value and nobody gets stolen or yoinked on the goal line. I'd start them both in that kind of circumstance, but considering you're not, I'll just go with your alternative options of Sermon and Hunt. Thank you. Alrighty, we move on to a question that comes in from... All right. I'm going to assume this name is Alex number 8 with ALYX. It says, 2-parter. Part 1, keep Juwan Jennings or pick up Wan'Dale Robinson. Pick up Wan'Dale Robinson. Rest of the season. Number 2, start Dowdle or Jerome Ford this week. I'll take Jerome Ford. Thank you. Chris sends in a question. Says, in a 12-man full PPR, I need to start 4 out of the following. Tyreek Hill, McLaurin, Flowers, Kirk, Shaheed. Cool. Of the available that you have, McLaurin, Shaheed, Kirk, and Tyreek. Those are the 4 that I play. I'm sitting Flowers. Also, start Javonte Williams over Dowdle. Yes, thank you. Prohibit says Flacco over Mahomes in a 6-point per passing touchdown league. Yes, I'd play Flacco over Mahomes this week. Thank you. Like the Jeans sends in a question. Says, do I dare start Flacco over Kyler? I don't have him ranked over Kyler. If Richardson is out, I don't have him ranked over Kyler. So I don't think you have to dare. If you want to, you can. Don't get it twisted. I think it's a perfectly fine play. But I don't have him ranked higher than him. Not to say that I'm not wrong. I could certainly be wrong in that circumstance. I'd have to drop Tyrone Trade. Yeah, no, you're fine. Just keep Kyler. Waleed sends in a follow-up. Says, Brian Robinson / DeAndre Swift. Okay, between the 2 of them. Again, if Brian Robinson's active this week, I'd probably roll with him. Yeah, I'd roll with him. As for your follow-up question, start Reed, Hill, Garrett Wilson. Reed's the starter between those 3 wide receivers. Thank you. Okay, there's X Franklin, and then there's the real Franklin. That's why I got fucked up. That's what it is. Yo, that's hilarious. That's what it is. I'm like, yo, what in the heck happened to Franklin's picture? X Franklin, do me a favor, type in the chat. There was nothing attached to your message. Thank you. Film Cash says, in a full PPR, pick 1. Sermon, Hunt, Tracy, Javonte Williams. I'll take Hunt this week out of the group. Thank you. Ryan Andrews says, in a 10-team full PPR, and most likely 2, 3 and most likely 2, do I make a move or do I just hold? Jefferson, Debo, Godwin, Myers, HN, Moss, Pollard, J.K. Dobbins. I mean, wide receivers, I'm not moving. You have Jefferson, Debo, and Godwin. Great, fantastic. HN, Moss, Pollard, Dobbins. Obviously, this week you're a little bit shorthanded, but in the long run, I want to keep HN. And if you can technically make an improvement on Pollard or J.K. Dobbins, you can get a Jacobs. Maybe you take Moss and J.K. Dobbins and go get Jacobs. Sure, but outside of that, I don't think you need to move anything. I think you're fine. Thank you, Ryan. Devin sends in a question, says, would you trade ETN for Tyreek Hill in a PPR? I'm currently 2-2. If you can survive with your running back depth until week 8, so again, that's 3 weeks to play, week 5, 6, and 7. If you can survive and somehow win at least one of the next 2 games, then I'd say sure. If you're going to go 0-3 and you're going to have a 2-5 record by the time you get to week 8, from weeks 8 through 14, again, you're going to have to win out to make the fantasy playoffs. So you could definitely make the move if you think you can at least win a couple of the next 3 games. Thank you. And if Tua doesn't come back, your season's over. RIP, we'll pack it in. Thank you. Delgado sends in a question, says, PPR, my wide receivers are Jamar Chase, Garrett Wilson, Josh Downs, Wan'Dale Robinson, Terry McLaurin. Who do I start? We'll be using wide receiver as my flex. Cool. So if we're starting 3 of these options, Jamar Chase is an automatic number 1. Then at that point, I'm pretty comfortable going with number 2 and 3 as Downs and Wan'Dale Robinson. Thank you. Only in a full PPR. If it was a half, I'd probably go with McLaurin and Downs. Thank you. Moving on to a question that came in from Medina2197, who says, do you trust Brian Robinson this week? Yeah. If he's active, I would play him. Or should I just start Wicks or Shaheed in the flex, full PPR? Yeah, if it's a full PPR, I'm okay just rolling with Wicks there. You don't even have to take a risk on it. Should I drop Murray for Fields? No, you don't have to drop Murray for Fields. If you want to start Fields this week over Murray, try to find an alternative option. Thank you. Donnie Fiji says, Chuba or Flowers this week? Or in the flex? Yeah, it's not even close. Chuba is in my top 10 flex this week. Chuba's he's different right now. So yeah, it's Chuba Hubbard. Irwin sends in a question. Says, so who would you start out of Downs, Akers, Braylon Allen, Leggett, Madison, full PPR? Downs, not even close. Thank you. Odin sends in a question. Odin Sensei says, full PPR flex, Swift or Wan'Dale Robinson? In a full PPR format, I'll take Wan'Dale Robinson there. Oh, shoot. Or Pittman. Oh, gosh. Yeah, it's Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman, Wan'Dale Robinson, Swift in that order. Michael Pittman's the leader of the clubhouse, though. Triffy sends in a question. There's nothing attached to it, though. Let's see if I can find Triffy. Triffy says, hey, go. Pick 2 to start in a full PPR. Tight end premium league, we have Addison, Downs, Hunt, and Njoku. Also, do I trade AR for Baker and Dobbs in a dynasty league? No, I'd keep AR. I mean, again, the upside he theoretically has is really high. Dobbs, again, getting suspended for 1 game, wanting a trade. I mean, again, I don't know how that's going to turn out. Baker long-term, in a dynasty, I could understand it. Again, he could have a very long career considering how well he has played with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think I just hold for now. Unless you're just like all in on the idea of Baker. If you are, then so be it. As for this week, in terms of the flex and a tight end premium, I'm probably just playing Downs regardless. Thank you. All right, going back, let me see what X Franklin's question was. X Franklin says, I'm the real Franklin, by the way. Full PPR. Debo or DK? I can't decide. I'll go with DK Metcalf there. He's a fraud? Okay, I don't think he's a fraud. I think he's a very nice gentleman. But hey, listen, you guys can rival out. That's fine. Moving on to a question that came in from Joey Boy. Joey, thank you. Says, start 3, Hunt, Madison, Tracy, Whittington, or Jennings. I mean, as of this moment, if I'm starting 3, I'm starting all 3. Yeah, I'll start all 3 running backs. Give me Hunt, Madison, and Tracy. Joey Boy, thank you. William Gatlin says, wide receiver 2 this week. Garrett Wilson, Deebo Samuel, Pickens, or Flowers. Sorry, Debo was on the brain because he's a suggestion. I'd play Debo out of all 4 of these options, William. Thank you. Hoosier State Fishing says, PPR, Pittman, Flowers, Debo, BTJ, Wicks, Wan'Dale Robinson, also Hunt, Stevenson, Sherman. Need 1 flex, 1 wide receiver. 2 wide receivers and 1 running back. Cool. So of the available that you have, the 1 running back that I'm starting is Kareem Hunt. The 2 wide receivers that I would play this week are Deebo Samuel and Michael Pittman Jr. And then the flex that you would play is between either BTJ and Wicks, which again, they're both incredibly valuable this week. I just lean in the direction of playing Wicks. So it's Wicks, Hunt, Pittman, and Debo. If you want to play BTJ over Debo, I can understand it. I could justify it, and I'd give you a thumbs up either way. Thank you. Eric Flores says, got a trade offer for my Jordan Mason. They offered Gibbs. Haven't been able to get Christian McCaffrey from the owner of their league. Yeah, I'll take it. Give me Gibbs. It's not even close. You don't have Christian McCaffrey. Someone wants to give you Gibbs for Mason. Gibbs has value rest of the season. Mason, again, it's on a ticking time bomb as to whether or not Christian McCaffrey comes back. I'll take Gibbs 1,000% of the time. Quite literally, if there were 100 different universes in its existence, Angie would take Gibbs in all 100. It's not even close. Young OG sends in a question, says PPR flex 2. Najee, Wando Robinson, Sutton, Ford, Judy, Myers. Cool. Of the available options, Wando Robinson is the first and foremost premier start of the group. Then after him, I'd probably go with Najee Harris. I'm thinking about Sutton potentially against that Las Vegas Raiders defense. I think Najee Harris with no Cordero Patterson and no Warren this week, he's going to get all the receiving work. He's going to get all the rushing work. And quite frankly, I think they're going to be in a pretty good game script against the Cowboys. So I'll take Najee and Wando there. Thank you. El Pollo, 33, says, I need an emergency quarterback for a must-win week. Flacco, Lawrence, Jones, Darnold, Watson, Stafford, Rodgers. Of the available, I have Lawrence ranked the highest. It would go Lawrence number 1, Flacco number 2, Darnold 3, Watson 4, Rodgers 5, Daniel Jones 6, Stafford 7. So Lawrence number 1, Flacco 2, Darnold 3. Nick sends in a question, says, thoughts on trading Jordan Mason and Rachaad White for JT? Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take JT. Absolutely, without a doubt. I don't understand how you can make that trade. If I didn't have Christian McCaffrey, I wouldn't be giving away JT for Mason. It just wouldn't make sense to me. But if you guys can get away with it, so be it. All right, Coco Loco sends in a question, says full PPR, flex Leggett, Stevenson, or Jennings. At this point, full PPR, I'll take Leggett this week. Thank you. FL Flatsmaster says half PPR, Downs or Garrett Wilson. I have Downs ranked higher because of the Flacco contribution. Thank you. All right. I think we've caught up effectively. All right. So we're about an hour and 5 minutes into the stream. For those of you who are joining us, welcome. Hope you guys are doing well. Thank you very much for all the support, guys. Again, if you haven't yet already, click the like button down below. If you haven't checked out the Hidden Gems episode of this week, again, at the end of that episode, we've also put together a couple pick'em slips via Underdog. If you guys want to go ahead and potentially tail. Last week, obviously, we hit big with the pick'em slip. I think it was Kelsey higher on receiving yards, Pickens higher on receiving yards, and I forget who was the last player that actually went over. I don't even remember. That's the crazy part. It was Pickens, Nico Collins, and Garrett and George and Kelsey. It was 500 for 2015, which I mean that saved me because Kamara and the Kamara play a couple weeks back that clipped me because they beat the shit out of the Cowboys, and then of course the Jonnu Smith penalty that pulled back the reception from HN, that one killed me as well. But yeah, a couple good plays there going into this weekend. We'll probably go ahead and put together a couple pick'em slips via Underdog in just a moment. But just want to continue to answer questions. Check out the live chat. Like Legoat in the live chat says PPR pick 1. Out of those options, I'd probably just play Tutu Atwell, Legoat. Stevenson or Sermon in a full PPR? I think I'm just going to play Sermon there. I'm a little bit afraid of playing Stevenson, honestly. Should I trade Rachaad White and Kyle Pitts for Dobbins and Pickens? I would. Yeah, if you don't need the tight end of Pitts, then I would. Tim Schwartz sends in a question. Says start or sit for the flex. Pittman, Chuba, Wicks, Deontay Johnson. Yeah, if it's my team, Tim, I'm going to play Chuba as the number 1 option there. And the number 2 option would be Pittman. Number 3, Deontay. Number 4, Wicks. That's the way I go about it this week. Addison or Sermon to start. If it's a full PPR peso, I'd just play Addison. Let's see here. Should I start Tyreek Hill or Josh Downs? Says Texas Hook'em. I just play Josh Downs this week. I don't even want to mess around with Tyler Huntley right now. I mean, I just personally, I want to avoid the risk. Let's see here. Sit one. It says BTJ, Ayuk, Higgins, Amari Cooper. If I'm going to sit one of the group, I'm sitting Ayuk. I'd rather just play Higgins, BTJ, and Amari Cooper there in Richmond's. Brandon DeCoste sends in a question. Says good at wide receiver. We have AJ Brown, Pitts, Ford, Laporta, and Hurts. If you're quote-unquote good on wide receiver and you're giving away A.J. Brown, then, I don't even know what that means. Like, I honestly have no clue what that means. Because A.J. Brown's a top 5 wide receiver rest season. Like, it's in stone. He is a part of I just don't know. I I guess you could take it, but I mean, I don't know what that means. Good at wide receiver means that you have CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, Nico Collins, because otherwise AJ Brown is just right behind them. So I don't know what that means. I don't know what good at wide receiver means. You know what I mean? Like if you were good at wide receiver, I wouldn't even make that deal. I just take AJ Brown and I go get Josh Allen. Like forget this Jalen Hurts bullshit. Sermon or Tracy full PPR. Tom, I'm gonna take Tracy there this week. Zay Flowers or Downs this week? Yeah, we're gonna take Downs. Downs is going to be really highly ranked tomorrow. Let's just hope that it doesn't completely blow out my shins. There's a possibility that I take it to the shins and Flacco ignores Downs tomorrow. There's a possibility of it because anything's possible. But I would say that of all the likelihoods, I think that's the least of the likelihoods. Jose Gonzalez says start 2.5 PPR. Deontay Johnson, Amari Cooper, DeAndre Swift, Garrett Wilson. If I'm starting two of these available options in a half PPR, I'd probably go Deontay and Swift. Thank you. Flacco or Mahomes? I have Flacco ranked higher. There's no way I'm playing Mahomes in that scenario. Again, Mahomes is so difficult to play, guys. It really is, especially in a 4-point per passing touchdown league. It is just, it hurts. It really does. The professor sends in a question. Says, someone just dropped, Jonathan Brooks? Should I bid for him? Yeah, why not? I mean, again, if you can pick him up, put him on your IR, and he doesn't have to get utilized until way later in the season, you're good. Yo, 2 questions, bro. Should I start Flacco or Darnold? I prefer Flacco this week. And who do I flex? Olave, Terry, or Najee? It depends on your scoring format. You got to include that in the question. Akers or Tracy, full PPR? I'll take Tracy there. Trade G. Willie for Neighbors. If you can get Neighbors for Garrett Wilson, again, firm handshake to whoever's trading to you, kiss on the forehead, thank you very much, and then you run. You get Neighbors, you get the fuck out of there as quickly as you can. It's not even close. Like Neighbors, when we talk about top 5 wide receivers, like he's top 6, 7, 8. Like it's not even close. Neighbors is Neighbors is him. It's over. Like he's done enough. I don't care that he's out with a concussion this week. It does not bother me. Hank Hennick sends in a question. Thank you, Hank. Appreciate it. Says PPR, who would you hold on to? Would you hold on to Jaylen Warren? I need depth. I mean, again, dealing with a PCL injury, it does not seem like he's returning for quite some time here, so I'd probably drop him. Flacco or Dalton? Yeah, it's Flacco this week, for sure. I'm actually curious, what are the Flacco... Okay, yeah, look, so this is what I'm talking about. Let me just go ahead and let me just go over really quickly. So you know how you guys were saying, like, how do we know, is Flacco playing? This is how you know Flacco's playing. This is how you know, right? When Underdog has him in sports, either fantasy, whatever the heck it is, doesn't matter. When the books have players on their overall implications here, this is how you know. Now, speaking of this, where's Downs at? Like this is what I'm like. This is what I'm actually. Oh man, I wish I had my phone. I want the lower number, but like this, I take higher than. Where is he? This I'll take higher than. Like these are the. You're telling me that with Joe Flacco at quarterback, these guys are not capable than more than 10 fantasy points and a half PPR? You gotta be fucking joking me. Like this I'll take. This is what I'm going to take. That is ridiculous. That's a free one for me. Thank you very much. Like I might as well just pair him up with an anytime touchdown from like Kyron or something and just keep it moving. It's a 0.7. I hate these 0.76 bullshits, man. It actually hurts. Like in terms of the overall multi on this, like the multi's 4.56. So if I put down 10 and I only get like 45 back, like yikes, I don't like that. This is why the 0.76 is just hurt. Like I'd have to go for something else in specific. I'd have to look around here. Has anybody got any good ideas for plays? I mean, obviously I've put together a bunch of plays already. I don't want to cross mingle too much. While we get your suggestions in the live chat, let me go ahead and answer a couple more questions. William Gatlin said, start 3 running backs this week. Must win Kamara, K9, JJ, Hubbard. So when you say start 3 running backs, when you say JJ, who's JJ? Josh Jacobs. Never mind, I'm an idiot. Anytime someone says JJ, I think Justin Jefferson. Apologies. Of the available running backs that you have to your disposal, again, Kamara is in a questionable tag, but I'm going to assume he plays on Monday. When he does, it's going to be Kamara number 1, Kenneth Walker number 2, and probably Hubbard number 3. I mean, shit, where's my ranking? That's actually that one's close. Let me see. Where's Hubbard and Jacobs? So as it currently stands, I have Hubbard ahead of Jacobs. So yeah, it's going to be Hubbard, Kenneth Walker, Alvin Kamara. Jacobs kind of sits, unfortunately, but hey, you got better options. X Kukui says full PPR, start 3. Christian Kirk, Tyreek, Debo, Wandell, Josh Downs, Mike Williams. Okay, so of the available that you have, I would play Debo, Wandell Robinson, and Josh Downs in a full PPR. Actually, yes, I would. I'd consider playing Christian Kirk over Josh Downs because Evan Ingram's likely not to play tomorrow, but I'm cool playing Debo, Wandell, and Josh Downs as of right now. Also, how do we feel about Pacheco for Josh Jacobs? What the heck? Yes. What the heck? Give me Josh Jacobs 10 times out of 10. 11 times out of 10, actually. Maybe Pacheco and a wide receiver. Yeah, give it to him. I don't care. Give him. If you can give him Pacheco and D-Hop for Josh Jacobs, that's a steal. Tommy D sends in a question, says, hi, Andrew. In a non-PPR flex question, play T. Higgins or pick up Downs or Sermon. No. At that point, I just play T. Higgins at the moment. In a non-PPR, it's not as valuable to play the alternative options. Mahomes 3 touchdowns. Anonymous, from your mouth to the fantasy god's ears, please. I hope of it. Please, that would be incredible. Najee higher on his rushing attempt, says Ace Picks. Not a bad one. You know, I took Najee, like as soon as the report came out that Cordero wasn't playing, I threw Najee into a slip immediately before the sportsbook could like change the numbers. I just boom, threw him in a slip. I got him at like 56.5 rushing yards. Now it's at 69.5. Like obviously it'll probably hit. What else is there in the chat? It says Fields over 179 passing yards. I got to think about that. Jerome higher on receptions. I don't know if I like receptions on running backs. Receptions on running backs make me ill to my stomach. Also 17 instead of 16.5. Let me see here. His rushing attempt totals 13, 18, 17. It's literally on the it's on the cusp. I don't want to get clipped. That's the only issue. That's my only issue. What's Jerome Ford's receptions at? 3.5. I'd rather just take his receiving yards at like 21. That I'd rather do. I don't know. Let me check here. Jerome Ford stats. What does his receiving yard numbers look like recently? 27, 33, 25. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'll just take the 21.5. That's cool with me. What else do we have? Anybody else with a solid suggestion in here? Otherwise, I'm throwing this in. Like, I just needed one other player. Kevin Lake says I sent in a super chat, but messed up. No problem, Kevin. Just type it in the... Okay, yeah, I got your question, Kevin. Kevin says start 3 in a full PPR. T. Higgins, Wicks, Hill, Amari Cooper must win. Yeah, look, if I'm starting 3 of these options, it's going to be Wicks number 1, T. Higgins number 2, Amari Cooper number 3. Thank you, Kevin. We move on to Flotation Swag. Says, check Twitter. I have some decisions to make. Cool. You know what the problem is? I don't have my phone, but I could probably check on my actual just desktop. Flotation, where's your... Flotation, did you send me a DM or something? Like, I don't know. I don't see anything in my notifications. There it is. Just came in. Just have to refresh. Okay, cool. So, looking at the team here. Wait, what do we want to talk about, Flotation? The trade or the actual team? That's the question on hand. What does PPR mean? Point per reception. Where can I find the place? What do you mean by the place? What does that mean? Weather concerns in Jacksonville? That's a good one. We'll have to check. Let's see here. NFL weather reports. Let's see, what are we at dealing with? Jacksonville, chance of rain. Nah, I'm not concerned. I'm fine. I'll take this bet. 10 for 60. I don't even like the multi on that. You know what I also want to take? Give me Diggs first quarter receiving yards. Where's first quarter? Does he not have first quarter receiving yards? 7.5. I'll take yeah, I'll take that. 10 for 100. Do I flex it? Actually, I'm cool with that. We'll just take that. All right. Now that that's been taken care of, let's travel back to the live stream and just continue on with the questions, shall we? Okay. So, really quickly, getting back to some of these questions. So, let's figure out what the heck we have here. So it says, my other question is this. Okay, so thoughts on Mooney went crazy. I'm without Singletary, I assume. Okay, yeah, you're probably, yeah, Mooney went 35 points for you. Jeez Louise, that is, whew, congratulations. You pretty much won the week because of that. So, of your additional potential options here, the way that I would go about it is, as it currently stands, this is the way that I'd go about it. I'd play Amari Cooper as your wide receiver starter next to Mooney. And then I'd play Tracy in your flex. So pretty much taking Trey Tucker out of the lineup. That's the way that I'd go about it as of right now. That's the only changes I would make to your starting lineup. As for your potential trade question that you're sending, so I'm confused as to why you would ever make this trade. I'd rather have the Jalen Hurts side of this deal 10 times out of 10. I don't know why you would make the trade. I don't get it. Like, I understand you get Devontae, but like, you can't start Gardner Minshew every week. Like, you're gonna start Aaron Rodgers every week rest of the season in a super flex format? Oh man. I don't think I make this trade. I think I just keep it. I don't think your QB2 is good enough to be able to sustain a trade like this. That's my only issue. That's how I see it at this point. Flotation. Thank you. Gem Hunter says PPR, Puka, ETN for Nico or Goddard, JMO for Bijan. I'd rather do the Goddard and JMO for Bijan. Honestly, I don't mind both trades, but I'll take the Bijan one first and foremost. JXM, I don't even know what that, Jammed Out. I'm going to assume that's what your name is, Jammed Out. PPR 2 quarterback leagues, 4 point per passing touchdown, 3 wide receivers, 1 flex. I'm getting Purdy, Pittman, and more for Mahomes, Kittle, and Shaheed. Okay, understood. My wide receivers are Hill, Chase, traded him, Wicks, Leggett, Mooney, Ferguson's my tight end. My other quarterback is Daniels. I'm okay with the trade. I don't love it, but I'm okay with it. Yeah, that works for me. Again, you're making a technical upgraded quarterback, and you're still getting a technical wide receiver upgrade at some sort of extent. I hate the idea of losing Kittle and keeping Ferguson. If you can swap that in which you're giving away Ferguson and keeping Kittle, I prefer it. But if not, so be it. That's a fine trade by me. Drop Charbonnet for Trey Sermon. If you're going to use him this week, then sure. Otherwise, if you have Kenneth Walker, you might as well just hold on to the handcuff unless you're going to actually use Sermon this week. BTJ anytime touchdown. That... Maybe we could put a sprinkle on that, but I can only put like $5 on that. That's going to be a tough one. Even though I do have $500 on Trevor Lawrence throwing 2 touchdowns this week, maybe. Let's see here. G. Snyder says, full PPR, Andrews and Likely are my tight ends. The wire is bare with guys like Taysom Hill, who's not playing, Strange, who may not get any work, Eric All, Theo Johnson, Noah Fant. Get anyone or hold my nose and hope. Honestly, if I'm in your position, I play Juwan Johnson this week against the Chiefs. If he's available, let's roll with him. If not, you play Mark Andrews. Thank you. And yes, hold your nose. Benny G sends in a question, says, hey, Andrew. Thank you very much, Benny. Ozzy here. Love a gamble. So give my 4-player prop in going over this week. You bearded. Okay, dude. 4-player. Oh, okay. What do you mean? It says, give me a 4-player prop in going over this week. You bearded god of fantasy sports. I mean, look, the favorite plays of the week, and there's a lot of them, but the favorite plays of the week were in yesterday's video. So let me go open up Underdog real quick. So again, I'm pretty much all in on the idea. Let's go live pick'ems. So I'm all in on the idea of, where the heck is the play? Here it is. So I'll take very happily Derrick Henry anytime touchdown, Brock Bowers higher than 3.5 receptions, Chuba Hubbard higher than 60.5 rushing yards, and then I could probably throw in a sprinkle, maybe, if we're feeling it. I mean, I like Eric All higher than 2.5 receptions, but if you're not comfortable with that, you at that point would just take higher on Trevor Lawrence, 1.5 passing touchdowns. That's the way that I have it set. Now, if you're asking for a completely different question and it's not underdog related and it's just like a different, like if I'm picking 4 winners of teams, tell me and I'll adjust it. I agree. Someone was trying to fleece me. Okay, got it. Thank you, Flotation, for the follow-up. Brian Keebler says, in a half PPR flex, Downs or Dowdle? Yeah, it's for sure going to be Downs. Alex, number 8, says, picked up Wan'Dale Robinson, like you said. Now flex Wan'Dale Robinson or Shaheed in a full PPR. I'd rather just play Wan'Dale Robinson there. Thank you. Appreciate it, Alex. Flotation follows up and says, how come Tracy over Tucker in a full PPR? Just curious. Yeah, look, I mean, Singletary is doubtful. Again, 1% chance he maybe plays. So if we're going to kind of position ourselves in a direction in which Tyron Tracy's picking up all of that rushing upside. So again, thus far this season, on average, Singletary gets like 10 to 12 rushing attempts per game. So if we're going to get ourselves 11, 12 rushing attempts, along with the receiving upside of 4 or 5 targets leading to those receptions, the volume of touches of 15 in comparison to Tucker, who again, pretty difficult matchup against Denver, I just feel far more comfortable rolling with Tracy. And honestly, I think he's an actual pretty good running back. Just hasn't been given enough opportunity thus far this season. But this is the week where he can maybe start digging into the workload of Singletary to maybe eventually replace him. Paul Adams says full PPR. Pollard, Swift, Nick Chubb for Chase and Singletary. Pollard, Swift, Nick Chubb. You would have to be very, very, very set up with running back depth to make this deal. I'm assuming you are, Paul. If you are, I'll take the Jamar Chase side of that deal. AAPA sends in a question. Says Hunt or Gibson? I'll take Hunt this week. Would you rather? Who would you rather keep? I mean, look, until Pacheco comes back, Hunt is the expected pole position starter for the Chiefs. So that's until week 10, theoretically, at base minimum. So I'm cool just holding on to Hunt until then. If you want to pick up Gibson and just hope that he maintains the starting job, that's fine. But I just don't trust the offense that he's associated with to give him enough value. Where can I find your UD plays? Again, I think I posted, it's yesterday. Okay, so yesterday in our Hidden Gems video, this one, if you go down, so if you travel to the video, click the like button, then go down to the description, open up the description, there are timestamps. Go and click on the numbers that are next to Underdog Pick'ems, click on that section, and then my plays are there. Thanks. Let's see here. Outside of that, I can share my picks right now on stream. Like, I don't have a problem with that. There's just a lot of them. Like, I make a degenerate amount of picks every week. Obviously, you got to do so responsibly, but I do make a degenerate amount of picks. Let's see here. The Powder Blues Forum. Where is your question? It says running back, wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver. Okay. So we're starting 1 running back, 2 wide receivers, and 1 flex. I'm assuming Powder Blues. It says Achane, Connor, Swift, Chase, Higgins, Thomas, Jax, and Pittman. Cool. So the way that I'd go about this, Powder Blues, would be Jamar Chase at wide receiver, Brian Thomas Jr. at wide receiver, Michael Pittman Jr. at wide receiver. So those would be your 2 wide receivers in your flex, and then I'm starting Connor. Thank you. Paul Adams says, I have Cook and Kyron. Yeah, then at that point, I mean, again, I don't love that Singletary is your RB. Like you can't even start Singletary this week. So you'd have to make the trade, and then theoretically afterward, pick up Tracy, which again, you can because you're technically sending away 3 for 2. So yeah, you can get away with it. I think you're fine. Chris All In says full PPR, 12-man or 12-team league. Start Flowers, Najee, Hunt, Jordan Addison, or Cortland Sutton. As it currently stands, it's probably Kareem Hunt out of the group. That's the way that I'd roll with it. Matt says, look at the chat, please. Cool. Let's see. Matt, shoot. Control. Oh, that's not Control T. Control F, Matt. Matt, I don't see your question in the live chat, though. Can you do me a favor and just copy paste it? Thanks. Alex Flamos sends in something, but there wasn't anything attached, Alex. Would you drop McLaughlin to pick up Jalen Tolbert? If you don't need the running back depth, then sure, I don't have an issue with it. Again, Brandon Cooks is going to be out for like 1 to 3 weeks of the knee infection, so I don't mind it. What do you think about Mostert? Should I start? Nah, I'm not starting anybody on. I'm trying to avoid starting Dolphins. I only start them if I have to. And when I say have to, I mean HN and Tyreek. Where's Alex Flamos? There it says. I traded JJ and Shamir. Who the hell? You mean Shakir? I'm assuming, right? Shakir. Shakir for CeeDee Lamb and Bowers. What do you think? Yeah, cool, perfect. No problem with that at all. Emily Doyle sends in a question. Says, should I drop Zach Ertz for Juwan Johnson? Okay, I'm excited about the potential of Juwan Johnson. Am I that excited to where I'm dropping Ertz to make it happen? I'd say yes, but there's so much implied risk. Like Zach Ertz is the guaranteed, I'm going to get you 7 points in a full PPR. Like I'm going to get you 4 receptions for 30 receiving yards, or at least, right? Four receptions for 4 receptions for 40 yards, maybe 8 points. I can't guarantee that Juwan Johnson does so. I think he's going to be solid this week because, again, the Chiefs are the best tight end matchup, and there's no, Taysom Hill out there. And last week was the most that we've ever seen Juwan Johnson run routes and get implemented within the offense. So, again, there's a lot of upside in that circumstance. But as it currently stands, I don't know if I make that move. I think I'll probably have Ertz ranked higher than Juwan Johnson as of this week. So I'd probably just leave it as is. Mahomes or Geno? I'll just take Geno there. Deontay Johnson or Pittman? I think I'm going to start playing Pittman this week in that circumstance. Wicks or Brian Thomas? I have Wicks ahead of him, just slightly ahead of him. DJ Lim? I'll take Sutton over Coleman. Tim Schwartz says, start Ayuk, Jennings, Shaheed, Justin Jefferson. I mean, look, at this moment, Justin Jefferson's number 1, Shaheed's number 2, Ayuk's number 3, Jennings number 4. Thank you. iShine101, what's up, iShine? Says pick in a full PPR, 10-man league, pick 2 running backs and 1 flex. James Conner, Yo, my YouTube crashed again. Fudge, man. Every time with this thing. There we go. All right, so he says, start 2 running backs, 1 flex. So Josh Jacobs and James Conner are your running backs. If I was in your position, I'd throw Najee in that flex, and I just wouldn't even worry about it and just keep it moving. Colin Smith sends in a question, says half PPR, start 2, Waddle, what is that, Mike Williams, Tracy, Dowdle. I'll just take Tracy, and I will take Dowdle. Honestly, that's the way that I'd go about it. Wicks or Sermon? It's Wicks. Guys, Wicks tomorrow so tomorrow morning, do not forget, we're going to be live streaming starting at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Wicks is a top 16 wide receiver this week, in my opinion. Wicks is legitimately high up there. If you picked up Wicks, congratulations. You are set up not only for this week, but for many weeks to come. Like, because of Christian Watson's injury, Romeo Doubs doing what he's doing. Luke Musgrave is being injured. Like, Wicks is going to be in a really good position, not only to kind of become like a full-time starter, but for the rest of the season have a lot of value. But considering they take on, the Rams this week of all defenses, it is very, very advantageous to play him. Additionally, if we ever get into a situation where Dobbs gets traded or Christian Watson continues to get hurt like he does every year, like Wicks isn't going to come off of the field. Additionally, this is an offense that, again, with Love, has proven, Love last season threw for over 30 touchdowns. There is a lot of high upside for Wicks in that circumstance. A guy that earlier in the offseason, Matt LaFleur, their head coach, compared Wicks to being like a younger Devontae Adams. Like, whenever you get those kind of comparisons, like, all right, we're set. Can you share your plays? Yeah, sure. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. Again, a lot of the numbers may not be the same as they were when I cashed in on them. Do you understand what I'm saying? So understand that it may be different, and you need to probably, like, if it's a significantly different number, just understand I wouldn't suggest it. I took the numbers where I feel comfortable, and I wouldn't specifically tell you to take them if it's different. Like for example, let's just go over this really quickly. Okay. So for example, on screen, you'll see I have Najee Harris here at 64.5. It's at 69.5. I'm just going to say objectively, if you can't get it at this number, just don't get it at all. Right. So these were the picks from yesterday's video. Eric All higher on receptions, Brock Bowers higher on receptions, and then Chuba higher on rushing yards. $500 entry for $22.25. This number of 3.5, I got off of my phone. So the only way you can access this number is if you go to the app for Underdog and then adjust the number to go down, because otherwise it's preset at 4.5. But I took the discount. I took it at 3.5. So that's that. Anytime touchdown from Jacobs. 2 touchdowns passing from Trevor Lawrence. Anytime touchdown from Derrick Henry. Okay. Then last night I got clipped from Asia Wilson going for 19 points. Got barely clipped, but I do like Brandon Aubrey for 2 field goals this week. Then we have first quarter, Deontay Johnson, Tyreek Hill, Trey McBride. All of them first quarter yards. Again, This season, I've made probably the most money out of any bet on first quarter yard plays. Okay. I think Underdog has the numbers wrong. Then I have this is the crazy one. All right. It's a $10 entry. First touchdown scorers for each of their individual games. I have Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones, Chuba Hubbard. Okay. Hear me out. Chuba Hubbard, the last 2 games, has been the first touchdown scorer in both of those games with him scoring a touchdown. The Ravens, thus far this season, have been the first touchdown scorer of their games 4 out of 4 times, Derrick Henry being a vast majority of them. And then Aaron Jones in the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings thus far this season have been the first touchdown scorer of their games 4 out of 4 times. This is a $10 entry for quite literally $1,300, okay? So it's a little risky, yes, but it's $10, man. I can miss that on lunch next week a little bit. Scrolling up, this will be the final player I share. $10 entry. Daniel Jones higher on attempts. Javonte Williams higher on rushing attempts. Kelsey higher on targets. Kamara higher on targets. Cool. Sounds good. Beautiful. All right. Responsibly. Wait. There it is. Wrong one. Responsibly. Do it responsibly. Okay? Don't do no $500 bullshit plays. Okay? I do it because I can afford to do it. And also, I hit. But that's a completely different fucking conversation. Okay? Because every week now, I'm on these like $1,000 plays, I'm like 50-50. So I'm barely broken even. All the smaller plays is what keeps me alive. All right. Anyway, moving on. Questions that are in the live chat, or in the super chats. We had Colin Smith who sent in a question. Thank you, Colin. Colin says in a half PPR start 2. Yeah, we're going to take Tracy and Dowdle. Thank you. I answered that earlier. Apologies. Arda sends in a question. Says flex Pittman or Sermon? Yeah, I'll take Pittman there. 10 times out of 10. Purdy or Fields? I'll take Fields there. Thank you. Drew, what's up? You should have just sent me something on Patreon. Says, I know I have rankings. Just take my money. All right, dude. Flex start Christian Kirk, Amari Cooper, Ford, Stevenson, the fumbler. Yeah, look, Christian Kirk is the play. Without a doubt. It would be Christian Kirk, especially with Ingram most likely not playing this week. It's like Christian Kirk, Amari Cooper, Ford, Stevenson in that order. That's the way I go about it. Thank you. We move on to a question from Thor, who says, Gino or Flacco? Honestly, I'm comfortable going Flacco there. If you want to play Gino just because you're like, hey, I'd have to drop someone in order to pick up Flacco and get a go. Like they're going to be back to back in my rankings. If I go look at the rankings right now, Gino and Flacco they're literally going to be back to back, but I have Gino 1 spot ahead of him. Thank you. Tolugo sends in a question. Says Fields or Love? I'd rather play Love this week. BTJ, Garrett Wilson, Tracy, pick one, and 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. Got it. Out of the group, I would play Garrett Wilson and BTJ there. Telugu, thank you. Honey sends in a question. Says, full PPR. Am I starting BTJ over Wandell and Ayuk? I start BTJ over Ayuk. So if you're playing 2 of these 3, theoretically, honey, I'm playing Wandell Robinson and BTJ. That's the way that I go about it. Thank you. Smooth Criminal, what's up, man? Kyler or Fields in a 6-point per passing touchdown, 6 rushing. I think I'm still going to play Fields there. Start Conklin or Njoku. So considering you have to pick between the 2 of them and you won't know if Njoku's like a for sure go, considering that is the circumstance, you probably just play Conklin against Minnesota. Because again, he plays 3 hours before, Njoku's designation. Avery Thompson in the chat says, hey, Andrew, hope you're doing well. Should I play Juwan Jennings or Leggett? I'm going to play Leggett there this week. Thank you. Jordan Mason or T. Higgins and David. Jordan Mason for T. Higgins and David Montgomery. Yes, I will take T. Higgins and David Montgomery rest of the season. Thank you. Lamasi says, it's not letting anyone else super chat. What? Is it not letting anyone else super chat? It's okay. Lamasi, you've sent in enough over your years. Just type it in the chat, brother. You're good, man. How do we feel about Tutu Atwell? I mean, again, he's like probably a top 40 wide receiver this week. Pretty safe in that circumstance. Him and Whittington, again, it's kind of a toss-up between who gets the most workload, but they're going to be in a negative game script, so both will be implemented for a pretty good, yardage count. Interesting. I have Reed and Lamb starting. Got it. So if you're starting Reed and Lamb, and you have to pick one of those 3, BTJ, Wandell Robinson, or Ayuk, I'm okay just playing BTJ there, and you're just good to go. Full PPR, Tutu Atwell. Yeah, why not? Is Flacco playing for sure? The assumption is yes, because they put the doubtful designation onto Anthony Richardson, which more often than not means that he's not going to play. I'd say there's a 1% chance that he even plays, but considering Flacco took all the first team reps yesterday, yeah, it's going to be Flacco this week. Etienne, Swift, or Sermon, pick 2. Yeah, it's Etienne and Swift there. Very comfortably Sutton. Thank you. Mind Yours says RB2, have Braylon, Chase, and Madison. Sermon, Gibson, and Tracy on the waivers. Who starts? RB2 out of this group of the available, if it's a full PPR here, Mind Yours, I'd pick up Tracy and play him. If not, let's say it's a half PPR, I'd be pretty comfortable picking up Gibson and playing him, if not Sermon. If it's a standard, it's okay. So this is the way I'd go about it, actually. Sermon in a standard, actually, scratch that. Give me Gibson, standard, half PPR, Tracy in a full PPR. Thank you. Calvin, what does that say? Josh Jacobs on the trade block for wide receiver and running back. My team is Daniels, Lamar, Jordan Mason, Kyron, Achane, Pollard, Montgomery, Jets, Higgins, Rice, Cup, Hawkinson. I mean, look, if someone wants to give you Josh Jacobs and they'll take Pollard, I'm okay with that. Just heads up, 1 for 1. Flo says, convince me to cancel my trade offer, AJB for Reed. Already have Nico and Neighbors. If you think Jaden Reed is a top 12 wide receiver, you take the deal. That's what you have to do. If you think he's a top 12 wide receiver, rest of the season. So what does that mean? At the end of the year, Jaden Reed has to average 17 points per game for the rest of the season. If you believe he is capable of it, you take the deal. Otherwise, you stick with A.J. Brown, who has proven in back-to-back years that he's a top 5 fantasy wide receiver. Again, when we talk about the current Mount Rushmore of wide receivers and the guys that you would take in the first round if a redraft was to happen today, Reed is not coming off of the board before A.J. Brown. He's not. He's just not. And you'd have to really be convinced that he is to make that deal. Just think about it that way. If you were going to redraft today, like your whole league, everybody's teams are wiped clean. You're redrafting in the same order in which you drafted. You think Jaden Reed goes before A.J. Brown? I don't think so, because quite frankly, A.J. Brown has more upside, more value, and ultimately, I think he's just a better player. Carolina Nurse sends in a question. Thank you, Carolina. Says PPR, 12-team league, Eckler or Ramondre / okay, so first and foremost, Eckler or Ramondre? I'm probably just going to play Eckler in a full PPR. Kirk or Hill? I'll take Christian Kirk. Thank you. Gino or Trevor Lawrence? I have Trevor Lawrence ranked higher. What do you suggest about Laporta? Keep him on your bench for this week. Don't move him. Don't trade him. Keep him moving. Okay, then Pittman seems like a great play indeed. I mean, look, he's going to be fucking incredible. I'm telling you, man. He's going to be good this week. He's going to be good. I'm telling you. Now, this being said, everybody listen up closely, okay? Michael Pittman had a good week last week. He'll have a good week this week. Then, in week 6, we're trading Michael Pittman. Please, guys, next week, DeAndre Swift, Michael Pittman, these are guys that are off our roster. We are offloading, okay? We do not want to keep for a remainder of the season. We have seen the capabilities of Anthony Richardson. We have seen DeAndre Swift in not so good matchups. He won't be able to take on Carolina every week. He won't be able to take on the Rams every week. So those are the players we're offloading after this week. But this week should be pretty solid options. Start Ramondre or Gibson. Yeah, I'm going to play Gibson there. At least for this week for sure. Bond 007 says Downs over Achane. Honestly, yeah. Honestly. It sounds crazy, I know, but that's the circumstance we're in with the Dolphins offense. Zach Moss or Sermon in a full PPR. History today. I'll play Zach Moss this week. Cal says PPR, Tutu or Jerome Ford. I'll take Jerome Ford there. Tyreek or Shaheed. Jarrett, I'll take Shaheed. Terry McLaurin or Wan'Dale Robinson in a full PPR. I'm probably playing Wan'Dale. Tracy or Akers. Give me Tracy. Alrighty. Slowly but surely answering questions. I wanted to go and see where the heck was Lamosity's question. Maybe it's in the live chat. Let's see. Lamosity. Nothing from Lamosity? Very well. Red and Black says, Andrew's ignoring my question. Now that you said it, yes, I'll continue to ignore the question. I'm just fucking with you. Says Wicks, Wilson, Deontay. Need to? Nah. Well, okay, look, listen. It's pretty simple. The way I see it, it's Deontay and Wicks. I don't really want to play Wilson. If I was forced to, I would, but you have better options. Kareem Hunt or Javonte Williams? Kareem Hunt. Should I trade Debo and Dobbins for Chase? I would. That's fine by me. I don't have an issue with that. Jackson. Okay, we took care of that. Lamosity says, my team, any recommended changes / trades? Okay, we have Love, Richardson, Kamara, Barkley, Stevenson, Gibson, Chase, Harrison, Deontay Johnson, McLaurin, Kirk, Ferguson, Laporta. Cool. Yeah, this is the way that I'd suggest it. You're not going to make any moves this week. Obviously, we're pretty much, it's Sunday already at this point, right? But at this point, going forward, Love is going to be your starting quarterback rest of the season. You would wait for Richardson to have a better performance than ship his ass. Additionally, you're keeping Kamara, you're keeping Barkley. At this point, you're kind of hamstrung into keeping both Stevenson and Gibson. Chase is a long-term kind of lottery ticket. But as for wide receiver, after this week, I'd look to potentially move Deontay Johnson and Ferguson, if you can. I'd like to keep Laporta as my starting tight end rest of the season. Deontay Johnson, Ferguson, maybe to bring back another wide receiver. I think it's definitely in the realm of possibility where you can go find A.J. Brown and make a deal of that capacity. Or go find another one of those top-tier wide receivers. For a team that doesn't have a tight end or is struggling to find tight end production and every week is swapping, I'm sure there's someone in your league that would be willing to give you a top-tier wide receiver in exchange for Ferguson and Deontay. Thank you, Lamosity. I got it to work? Okay, sounds good. Moss or Ramondre? JRM Sir or Senior. Let's just go with Moss this week. I don't really want to mess with Ramondre in that circumstance. Bills Mafia says Jennings or Chase Brown. This week? You'll play Jennings there at that point. Wicks or Wandell? Just play Wicks. You guys thought that was funny? Listen, Red, I'm not trying to ignore any questions. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, you see the chat. There's a bunch of fucking questions here. Like me, I'm not just like picking them out like specifically. Like if there's a question that it just catches my eye, I'll grab it. But I'm not specifically trying to ignore anyone. Okay. Let's see here. Tank Dell or Roma Dunze PPR. I think I just play Tank Dell there. I don't love it, but that's probably what I do. Wicks or Jacoby Myers, says Jennifer. Let's just play Wicks there pretty comfortably. Bills Mafia says Cam Akers, Chase Brown, or Jennings. Out of those three, I'd probably just play Jennings in a full PPR, to be honest. KJ sends in a question. Thank you, KJ. I appreciate it. Says Eckler, Wandale Robinson, or Sermon in a half PPR. I'll still play Wandale Robinson there this week. I think I'm pretty comfortable in that circumstance. Yeah. The Parkers says full PPR Deontay Johnson or Pittman. I'll take Pittman this week. Skills All Day sends in a super chat. Says I'm currently 0-4.5 PPR. My quarterback is Richardson, Daniels, Carr. My running backs are Hall, Stevenson, Sermon, Braylon Allen, Zamir White. Wide receivers are Garrett Wilson, Michael Pittman Jr., JSN, J-Mo, Ridley, Coleman, Leggett, Wanda. Dude, Skills, this is one of the most unlucky teams I've seen in a long time. Who should I start and with the bye weeks? Okay, cool. So as it currently stands, obviously your starting quarterback is Jaden Daniels. No questions asked. Keep it moving. Your starting running backs are going to be Breece Hall alongside of Trey Sermon. Your starting wide receivers are going to be Garrett Wilson, Michael Pittman Jr. Your starting flex this week is going to be... Okay, this is the way I'd go about it. I'd probably play McBride at tight end and Bowers in the flex. If McBride doesn't play, then you play Bowers in his stead, and then you play Leggett in the flex. Thank you, Skills. Appreciate it. Do kicks count against first TD scores? No. Again, it's just first touchdown of the game. Yeah. Again, let me pop that back up. That was my favorite. Listen, when did I find that? I literally put that one together, I think, at like 2 a.m. this morning, okay? So... I don't know if I was in the right frame of mind. Let's see here. Live. Pick 'em. Where is it? There it is. Okay. I don't know if I was in the correct frame of mind when putting this one together, but it feels like a $10 entry for $1,300 seems pretty ridiculous, right? Derrick Henry to score the first touchdown of the game. Again, they've scored the first touchdown of the game 4 out of the last 4 games. Now, again, there's always a possibility that it ends up being a passing touchdown. So if Lamar scores a rusher or somebody else scores, this whole thing is dead. But again, that's why this number doesn't have to be a lot. Like if the number here is $5, you're still winning 600. If it's $1, you're still going to theoretically win 130. Okay? That's how ridiculous this is. But yeah, I mean, look, it's a really sketchy situation. It's not one that is going to hit. It probably misses horribly. Because think about it, right? If we're thinking about all the variables that are involved in those offenses, right? It's not just the idea of, oh, Derrick Henry has a really good chance of scoring for the Ravens. It's like, what if the Bengals score first? Anybody can score on the Bengals. Chase, Zach Moss, Higgins, the other Chase, like Yoshivas, Eric All, Gesicki. There's like 7 options on each team that could theoretically score. So if you put it in a sense of like, there's a 1 in 14 chance for all of those things to happen. 1 in 14 times 1 in 14 times 1 in 14 is like 15,000, 1 in 15,000. It's an astronomical number. That's why the money output for it is so ridiculously high. But we're assuming that the better offenses, the most valuable running backs on these teams, can pull it out. Moving on to a question from Lamosity, says, in the works for Ferguson and McLaurin for Ayuk? No, I don't want Ayuk. I'd rather have Debo. Redify says half PPR, Stevenson and Braylon Allen for Chase Brown. Sorry, Stevenson or Braylon Allen, Chase Brown, Akers, Tracy. Out of the available options you have there, if it's my team, I'm probably going with like Tracy and Stevenson or Tracy and Akers. Tomorrow morning, I'll have a little bit of a better understanding as to where I'm going to put Akers in comparison to Stevenson. Because again, I don't know if Dameon Pierce is playing or not. Let me actually go check the injury report for the Houston Texans, and then it'll give me a little bit better of an understanding. So as it currently stands, Dameon Pierce had a limited practice. If Dameon Pierce is active, we'll just go with Ramondre and Tracy there, because I don't want to have to deal with a 3-headed monster in Houston. Rudy sends in a question. Thank you, Rudy. Says, hey, Andrew, looking for the week and future Hurts. Okay, very well. Hurts, Sermon, Williams, Godwin, Metcalf, Eric All Jr., Amari Cooper, Chubb. Is it Chubb or Chuba? Either way. Dobbins, Bucky, Olave, Devontae Smith, and Wicks, and TJ Hawkinson. Got it. So TJ Hawkinson coming in to the fold probably in the next couple weeks is going to be beautiful. Again, it's arguably in the conversation that TJ Hawkinson is the most talented tight end in the National Football League. And considering how incredibly well Darnold has played, I think TJ Hawkinson is a league winner, straight up. If those of you who are playing in leagues where he is somehow still available on the waiver, it should never have been there. He should have been drafted, because if you guys remember where I had him ranked in my tight end rankings in the preseason, he was up there. Like, he was like number 14. Like, he should have been on a roster already, but somehow he's available, pick him up. But as for your team, running back's an issue. That's a given. Again, Sermon and Williams being in this position, I mean, again, if your RBs are Javonte Williams and Sermon this week, it'll work. But for the future, you might have to take one of your wide receivers and break them off in order to get value. Now, you have Dobbins, so Dobbins will fill in, but you need another solidified RB2. You have Olave, you have Devontae Smith, you have Wicks, you have Amari Cooper, Metcalf, Godwin. One of those wide receivers need to be exchanged for a running back. So whether it's Olave, whether it's Godwin, if you can take them and get a Tony Pollard, get a Josh Jacobs, get a Travis Etienne, get something of that value to where you know that they are good running backs in a whole, because again, they've produced well in the past, but are already in decent positions thus far this season, then you make a positional move like that. Or you can even go after even higher value players like a James Conner, theoretically, with maybe a more valuable wide receiver. That's the way that I look at it, Rudy. You have a lot of wide receiver depth. If you're in a 3 wide receiver, two flex league where you can start all 5 of these wide receivers like Godwin, Metcalf, Olave, Devontae Smith, Wicks can start every week, shit, you still have Amari Cooper to move to try to go get another running back like a Zach Moss or something. So again, try to take one of your wide receivers and go digging for a running back right now. Thank you. Let's see here. All Balls sends in a question. Says, start 1, Brian Robinson, Tyreek Hill, Leggett, Sermon, or Downs. Brian Robinson just got the green light for Sunday, then he plays. That would be my suggestion. Thank you. Moving on to Arshvir Atwal, who says, start 2, Zay Flowers, Worthy, Wandell, Leggett, half PPR. As it currently stands, the way I have him ranked would be Wandell Robinson and Worthy as the 2 highest. Thank you. Appreciate it. Lazard or Allen in the flex, half PPR. I'd probably just rather play Lazard this week, to be honest. Andrew, should I drop Anthony Richardson for Sam Darnold? Hayden, I don't mind it under the assumption that Sam Darnold isn't your starter every week. Actually, I don't mind that. Here's the thing. If you're going to drop Anthony Richardson for Sam Darnold, understand that Sam Darnold goes to the bye week next week because he comes off the London game. So theoretically, I'm okay with it as long as you have a quarterback available for next week. So maybe if you're like, hey, Anthony Richardson is my only quarterback on roster. If I pick up Darnold this week, I'd play him. Great. But you need someone for next week. So maybe find another option to drop, technically. Pick 2, Najee, Terry, Wicks. Probably going to play Terry and Wicks in a full PPR pretty comfortably. Someone help, says Lucas. Wandell or Wicks this week? Yeah, it's going to be Wicks. I mean, again, both are incredible plays. Don't get it twisted, but Wicks is just the higher upside because of the touchdown potential. I have Kyler too. Okay, that's fine. We could make the swap. That's fine by me. I don't have an issue with that. Anadi says, Anthony Richardson is on the waivers. I already have Geno and Jalen. Okay. Should I drop Gibb? No. No, you're good. You have Jalen Hurts. You don't need Anthony Richardson. There's no point. Like, if you're picking him up to then eventually try to trade him in the future, you could theoretically do something of that exchange. But ultimately, I don't think you need to. Walker says, full PPR, pick 5. Oh, gosh, my God. All right, 2 running backs, 2 wide receiver, and a flex. We have so many names here. Jamar plays, DK Metcalf plays, Jacobs plays, Aaron Jones plays, Mason plays. That would be my suggestion, okay? Jamar, DK, Jacobs, Aaron Jones, Mason. Thank you, Walker. Best of luck. Lamosity says, also in the works, Stevenson and McLaurin for Mixon and more. Yes, that's better. That's way better, Lamosity. Do that one, please and thank you. That'd be beautiful. All right, again, a couple reminders, guys. Tomorrow morning, I'll be back here starting at 6 a.m. So Andrew's going to be running on about 4 hours of sleep. So forgive him tomorrow morning for being a completely... I mean, I don't even know if my eyes will be open by the time the stream starts. But the enjoyable part is that we'll be watching the game while answering questions for 4 hours. So at least if we can get a competitive game between the Minnesota Vikings and the Jets, we'll be in a pretty solid position. Now, I'll go ahead and I'll probably put together a couple pick'em slips before tomorrow's game so that there's an even greater incentive to watch that game while we answer questions. But again, do not forget, starting at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow morning, 4-hour live stream prior to the kickoff of Week 5 on Sunday. Again, if you haven't checked out the Hidden Gems video, be sure to do so. Appreciate it. Deontay Johnson or Diggs this week? I think I have Deontay Johnson ranked slightly higher. Chase Brown or Gibson? I'll take Gibson. Sharps or Akers? Appreciate you. I'm not playing Sharps. I don't think I can. Like, garbage time Sharps could work, but I don't know if it's worth it. Shakir or Wan'Dale Robinson rest of the year? I mean, look, Wan'Dale Robinson he should be on roster. That's all I'm going to say. If that means cutting Shakir, then that means cutting Shakir. If anything, Shakir should be on your IR spot. If you don't have an IR spot available, then you swap. But look, again, the guy is he's number 4 amongst all wide receivers in targets. That is not by accident. It is by design. Anyone? Andrew, if you wake up early, will you answer my question? I'll answer it right now. It says, just to subscribe, Andrew, full PPR, Ayuk, Tyreek, or DJ Moore. Out of the 3 options, I play DJ Moore this week. It doesn't matter if you wake up early. Listen, it doesn't matter. I'm not even going to... Thank you. Appreciate it. FRS says, full PPR. Which 2 would you start between Dowdle, Achane, Gibson, and Najee? Najee and Achane. Maybe Gibson. No, Najee and Achane. I'll just risk it. No, I don't. Yeah, maybe. I got to think about that one. I'll know by tomorrow morning for sure, though. Let's see here. Stevenson, Achane, or Tyreek? I'll just play Tyreek there, Isaiah. Would you start Sutton, Leggett, or Atwell in a full PPR? Aiden, I'd play Sutton there. Trade Cup or 3 for K9? Trade Cup or 3? What does that mean? What is or 3? I don't know what that means. Would you trade away Achane for Jaden Daniels? No. Unless you're playing in a super flex league where it's 6 point per passing touchdown. That's the only reason I justify doing so. Dave sends in a question. Says, hold on to Dak or drop for Love/Baker. Yeah, give me Love rest of the season. Honestly, give me Love and Baker. Can we get them both on roster? Also, Addison or Wicks? I'll take Wicks this week. Very, very, very confidently. Help, Connor or Deontay Johnson? Honestly, they're both great plays. I'll just stick with Deontay in the full PPR format in that circumstance. Bills Mafia says, should I play Cam Akers in the flex or Chase Brown? Honestly, I don't really trust any Houston running backs right now. I'll just probably roll with Chase Brown there, even though I don't like the play as a whole. I didn't know I could IR Shakir. Any player that has the out designation should be able to be placed in the IR spot. Should be. Unless you play in a weird league. If you play in a weird league, then, send some choice words to your commissioner. Dylan Ross with exclamation points up the ass says, please, I sent Aaron Jones, Ramondre, and DK for Derrick Henry, Devontae Smith. He has ability to reverse the trade after this week. What are your guys' thoughts? Aaron Jones, Ramondre. Okay, so basically Ramondre is just out off the scene for me. The way that I see it is Aaron Jones and DK for Derrick Henry, Devontae Smith. In this circumstance, I am okay having Derrick Henry, Devontae Smith rest of the season in an 8-man league. Thank you. I'm okay with that trade. Let's see here. Moving on. Thor says, Olave, Wicks, Wandell, or Swift. Pick 2 in a full PPR. It's probably going to be Wicks and Olave there. Probably. I could consider playing Wandell Robinson over Olave. I don't know. I'm going to switch back and forth all day until I can get a confirmation tomorrow. Mr. Burns says, yeah, buddy. Mr. Burns, any questions? Anything? Matt says, so you never answered the question. Did I never? Oh, you know why, Matt? Because I looked for your name in the chat and it never popped up because there was never a message in the chat. And look, here's the thing, Matt. If you're going to send in a message that says, you never answered my question, why didn't you just put the question in the actual super chat, bro? I don't even see your question. Literally, there's no question in the live chat. Like, I'm literally looking up Matt, and there's nothing there, brother. You got to help me. You got to meet me halfway. Christian Fernandez says DST, Chicago, Pittsburgh, Green Bay, New Orleans. I mean, at this point, I have Pittsburgh number 1, Chicago number 2, Green Bay 3, New Orleans 4 in that order for this week. That's the way I have it. If you want to play Chicago over Pittsburgh, I don't have an issue with that, though. Matt, tap in the chat. Where are you? Hello, Matt. Hello. Matt, where are you? Let's see here. Angel says, I'm 4-0 in a 12-team full PPR. Angel, you should be trading for Tyreek Hill right now. Says 5 bench, drop Anthony Richardson, pick up Waddle and JD5. I have JD5. Yes, pick up Waddle, drop Anthony Richardson. Trade for Tyreek Hill. Actually, no, if you're going to get Waddle, just don't worry about Tyreek Hill then. You're good. Let's see here. Wandell Robinson or Moss. If it's a full PPR crypto, I just roll with Wandell Robinson. Olave or Brian Thomas Jr. Thanks. Probably going to play Brian Thomas there. Braylon Allen or add Downs? Add Downs. For sure, for sure. Matt says, bruh, I asked about Gibson and Sermon, full PPR. Got it. Let's play Gibson there. Thank you. Why all the love for Sermon when Gibson has performed better this year? Why all the love for Sermon? Look, Sermon has value because of the offense he's associated with. Like, the difference is, like don't get it twisted. Like, I prefer Gibson this week, but Sermon is behind the Colts offensive line. Gibson is behind whatever they have over there in New England, which again is not very pretty. Odunze or Leggett? I'll just rather play Leggett this week. Flashy sends in a question, says PPR. Do I trade Allen, Kincaid for Williams/Laporta? Do I trade Allen, Kincaid? Yeah, I'll take Jameson Williams and Laporta rest of the season. That's cool with me. All right, best of luck, Aiden. Best of luck. Mr. Burns says Wandell Robinson, Lazard, and a half PPR flex. I'd rather just play Wandell Robinson. Rudy says, played Godwin, need 2 for tomorrow. DK, Olave, Wicks, Amari. DK and Wicks would be the suggestions there. Chris Rosado says, who would you trade for a running back? Evans, Reed, or Kupp? Technically, if I'm trading one of the 3, I'm trading Kupp away because I don't want to have to wait till week 7 or 8. So that's who I would trade. Obviously, you'll probably get less back in return for him. So you could technically wait until Kupp returns, get some good weeks out of him, then trade him, or you could just try to move Evans now. I guess it just depends on what kind of running back you're going after. But yeah, Kupp would be the preferred one to move. Sermon or Moss? I have Moss ahead of Sermon. Kamikaze says, I lost Rice and Neighbors for this week. Have Chase and Odunze starting, but was thinking of trading Dowdle for Pickens. Yeah, I'll do that. And yeah, that's cool. Trade Dowdle for Pickens, play Pickens over Odunze. Cool. Sounds good to me. Sermon or Moss? Yeah, Moss. Thank you. Plus WR, sorry, what does that say? Plus R, so nope, dyslexia. plus MRW. Gosh. Drop Dobbs for Tracy or Whittington. I have Monty on bye starting Achane and Braylon. Yes, I'd try to play Tracy over Braylon Allen this week in this circumstance. Thank you. All right, guys. That's pretty much going to cover it. We've been here for 2 hours. I appreciate y'all coming through the channel, supporting. The final question of the day comes in from Jimmy, and it says the following. Drop Mark Andrews, question mark. I have Njoku, and I have no bench space. If you have no bench space, what are you picking up for Mark Andrews then? Why would you drop him? Unless you are effectively moving Njoku out of the IR spot to then drop Mark Andrews to start Njoku, then in that case, I'd say we're starting Mark Andrews this week. But I don't want to drop Mark Andrews. I don't want to. If you kind of have to, though. All right, that's fine. I don't like it, but I'll take it. That's fine. Whatever. Damn. I don't want to do it. You get by how I'm answering this question that I'm very much so not interested in dropping Andrews. But considering your circumstance, I could understand it. Flashy says, meant Josh Allen, Kincaid for Kyron and Laporta. Got it. I will take the Kyron Laporta side still. Thank you. Brandon, with the final question of the day, says the following. PPR, pick 3. Deontay Johnson, Garrett Wilson, Wicks, Wandale Robinson. Cool. The 3 that I would legitimately start are Deontay Johnson, Wicks, and Wandale Robinson this week. Thank you. All right, guys. I'm cueing the music. I'll be back tomorrow at 6 a.m. Enjoy the rest of your day. And until next time, I'll see you guys. Peace.